Chapter 2787. This was the Pangu seal, the token of the patriarch of the Pangu clan. It was also the supreme treasure to open the ancestral land of the Pangu clan. Pangu Celestial Polaris had been searching for the Pangu seal for countless years. He once suspected that the Pangu seal had fallen into the hands of the Chinese. Now that he saw the Pangu seal in Hua Tianchong's hands, he finally understood. The Pangu seal had fallen into the hands of the Chinese. Pangu Celestial Polaris almost immediately agreed to fight with Hua Tianchong. However, if he really lost, he would have to give the white dragon horse to Hua Tianchong. This made him extremely embarrassed. He couldn't use the white dragon horse as a wager for the Pangu seal. Bet with him. At this moment, Pangu Celestial Polaris was stunned. He actually heard the voice of the white dragon horse. He almost thought that it was an illusion, but the divine voice was incomparably real. However, he couldn't sense the whereabouts of the white dragon horse at all. The white dragon horse actually came to the Samsara temple? If the Chinese saw it, I'm afraid they won't let it go. Fine, let's bet. I'll just kill Hua Tianchong. Pangu Celestial Polaris thought to himself. A trace of cold killing intent flashed in his eyes. Hua Tianchong, since you want to die, I'll fight with you. Pangu Celestial Polaris said coldly. Great. Why don't we make a heavenly oath? By the way, Brother Qin, can we borrow the arena of the Samsara temple for a while? Hua Tianchong smiled faintly. No problem. However, tomorrow is my wedding. I hope the two of you won't hurt each other. After all, we're all disciples of the 12 immortal sacred grounds. We're on the same side. Qin Miesheng smiled faintly. He looked very sincere, but Pangu Celestial Polaris and Hua Tianchong sneered at the same time. This sinister villain was really pretentious. He probably couldn't wait for Hua Tianchong and Pangu Celestial Polaris to fight to the death. After all, no matter who won, it was a good thing for Qin Miesheng. Pangu Celestial Polaris and Hua Tianchong quickly made a heavenly oath. Qin Miesheng also asked the elders of the Samsara temple to bring an arena. Although it was called an arena, it was actually a quasi-emperor weapon of the Samsara temple. There was a hidden space in it, and it was usually reserved for the disciples of the Samsara temple to spar and cultivate. As the elder of the Samsara temple activated it, a bright light shone in the void and an ancient arena appeared. Both Pangu Celestial Handle and Hua Tianchong soared into the sky at the same time, and entered the arena. Elder Huafeng, the Chinese are really willing to sacrifice so much for the Pangu clan. They even took out the Pangu seal. Lu Bai looked at the black-robed old man, and said calmly. The black-robed elder's aura was terrifying. He was a heavenly master and the strongest among the Chinese. He came to congratulate the Samsara temple, and was also Hua Tianchong's guardian. War God Lu, you're wrong. Our Chinese people were killed by your war god shrine. We just want an explanation. Hua Feng smiled indifferently. You want an explanation? That Chinese man killed so many disciples and elders of our war god temple. Why didn't you give me an explanation? Lu Bai said calmly. War god Lu, be careful with your words. We are the descendants of the great Emperor Tiandu. Naturally, we won't kill innocent people. The people we killed were all heinous criminals. The people of the war god shrine were not killed by us. If you don't have evidence, you're slandering us. Hua Feng said casually. Evidence? There will be evidence soon. Lu Bai smiled faintly and a strange light flashed in his eyes. At the same time, the battle between Pangu Celestial Handle and Hua Tianchong also alarmed the people of the other immortal sacred grounds and ancient clans. Everyone walked out of the courtyard and looked at Pangu Celestial Handle and Hua Tianchong in the void. The people of the Heavenly Curse sect, 9 Imperial Gates, and 5 Elements Celestial sect looked at Pangu Celestial Handle with hostility. They had been enemies with the War God Shrine for a long time. Naturally, they hoped that Pangu Celestial Handle would be defeated by Hua Tianchong. The Everlasting Saint and the Moon God stood side by side. One of them was extraordinarily handsome, and the other was extraordinarily beautiful. The two of them stood side by side like a perfect couple. The Chaotic Heavenly Sect and the Destiny Shrine. One was known as the most powerful immortal sacred ground in the divine world, while the other was known as the most mysterious immortal sacred ground in the divine world. Every move of the everlasting saint and the moon goddess fairy attracted the attention of the surrounding people. However, they looked indifferent as they looked at Pangu celestial handle and Hua Tianchong in the void with anticipation. Moon goddess fairy, who do you think will win this battle? The everlasting saint glanced at the moon god fairy beside him and smiled. Pangu celestial handle. The moon goddess fairy said faintly without hesitation. Oh, moon goddess fairy, are you so sure? The everlasting saint was surprised. Ling Zhao's sect won't lose. The moon goddess fairy said calmly. Moon goddess fairy knows Ling Zhao? I remember that you entered the Destiny Shrine more than 100 years ago, right? At that time, Ling Zhao had already disappeared from the divine world. The everlasting saint was even more surprised. He was familiar with the moon goddess fairy. The chaotic heavenly sect and the Destiny Shrine had a close relationship over the years, and they had a lot of interactions. However, the everlasting saint didn't expect the moon goddess fairy to know Ling Zhao. We're old friends. But maybe he doesn't remember me anymore. The moon goddess fairy said faintly. Her voice was incomparably cold, as if there was no emotion at all. However, the everlasting saint could still hear a different emotion in the moon goddess fairy's voice. Old friends. The everlasting saint's eyes revealed a thoughtful look. Just as the crowd was watching the battle, the Pangu celestial handle and Hua Tianchong had already begun to fight. Boom. Both of them exuded an extremely terrifying aura. Their eyes were blazing with cold killing intent. Without any words, they began to fight. As if they were mortal enemies, the Pangu celestial handle and Hua Tianchong erupted with their most powerful strength. The Pangu celestial handle's muscles were bulging, and his blood qi was rising. He threw a punch at Hua Tianchong. The fist was unparalleled, and it was surrounded by chaotic qi as if it could shatter everything. Pangu Void Shattering Seal. This was a supreme secret technique that the Pangu celestial handle cultivated. According to legend, it was passed down by Great Emperor Pangu. It was the most compatible with his bloodline, and it could allow him to erupt with incomparably terrifying strength. The Pangu celestial handle gave up on techniques and directly suppressed the opponent with brute force. Kill! Hua Tianchong roared. His voice was like thunder. Blazing purple qi rose around his body, and lightning spread out. In his palm, there was an incomparably sharp light that formed a purple saber aura. It flowed with mysterious great Dao law, and it slashed down towards the Pangu celestial handle. Heavenly Dao purple blood saber. There was no regret when the saber was unsheathed. It must be killed. PS 6th update. Make up for it tomorrow. Everyone, rest early. Chapter 2788. The Heavenly Dao Bloodblade was the supreme forbidden technique of the Hua clan. It contained a trace of the power of karma. The blade would not return without seeing blood. It was extremely powerful. Ling Zhao had seen Hua Xiang and Hua Tianxiong use it in the chaotic ancient land. In the end, Ling Zhao devoured their primordial spirits and learned the Heavenly Dao Bloodblade. Hua Tianchong was now a peak Saint King. His strength was unparalleled. The power of the Heavenly Dao Bloodblade was hundreds or thousands of times stronger. In the void, the purple blade aura was mighty and majestic. It contained a majestic and mysterious fluctuation. It was incomparably sharp as if it could destroy everything. In an instant, it collided with the Pangu Heavenly Dipper's Pangu Void Breaking Seal. Crack! The void shattered. Terrifying fluctuations spread out in an instant with a loud rumble. Both Pangu Heavenly Sovereign and Hua Tianchong trembled, and were sent flying at the same time. The void distorted violently as if it was about to shatter. However, this was the Samsara Temple. It was shrouded by the Supreme Emperor formation. The space was incomparably firm. Although Pangu Heavenly Sovereign and Hua Tianchong were powerful, it was still difficult for them to break the void here. Puff! Blood filled the void. A huge blade wound appeared on the chest of Pangu Heavenly Sovereign. The Heavenly Dao Bloodblade had cut through his skin and injured him. Ah! Great! Again! The Pangu Heavenly Dipper didn't seem to care at all. Terrifying blood and qi rose around his body, and the vast life essence seemed to be endless. The wound on his chest scabbed over at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then he ignored it and rushed towards Hua Tian again. Hua Tianchong also groaned. A trace of blood flowed out from the corner of his mouth. The Pangu void-breaking seal was incomparably powerful. Not only did it shatter the heavenly Tao Bloodblade, but it still had energy left. His chest was hit by the Pangu Heavenly Sovereign. Suddenly, he felt as if he was hit by hundreds of millions of divine mountains. His internal organs were trembling violently. What a terrifying physical strength! Worthy of being a remnant of the Pangu clan. Hua Tiancheng's eyes were cold. The killing intent in his eyes burned even more fiercely. Although the Hua clan had destroyed the Pangu clan, they did not obtain the Pangu scripture and the Pangu axe. Although they had been looking for it all these years, there was no news. But Pangu seal had fallen into the hands of the Hua clan. The Pangu seal was the key to open the ancestral land of the Pangu clan. The ancestral land of the Pangu clan was extremely secretive, and the Chinese had never found it. The Chinese were also guessing that perhaps the Pangu scripture and the Pangu axe were both in the ancestral land of the Pangu clan. The Pangu clan walked the path of physical sanctification. Great Emperor Pangu was the one with the strongest physical body among the 9 great emperors of the human race. He once broke through the Supreme Emperor realm with his physical body, and became a great emperor directly. He was immortal and could even kill great emperors. Pangu Pangu. Peng. Asteriskong. It. The surrounding void was distorted. The great Tao law intertwined. Divine chains of order rose, containing terrifying power fluctuations. Both of them were peak saint kings. They were the most outstanding kings of the 2 great imperial clans. However, they had a blood feud. Therefore, both of them were injured at the beginning of the battle. However, it was as if the 2 of them were truly enraged. Their battle intent soared to the heavens as they wanted to kill each other. Pangu Heavenly Sovereign is getting stronger. Damn it! If Hua Tiancheng can kill you, I'll let it go. If Hua Tiancheng can't defeat you, I'll kill you after I take Shui Wei's reincarnation origin. Qin Mieshing stared at the 2 figures fighting in the arena. Although his face was still full of a gentle smile, there was a trace of coldness in his eyes. Losing to Pangu Celestial Handle was his greatest humiliation, and this humiliation could only be washed away with the blood and life of Pangu Celestial Handle. The reason why he arranged the War God Temple and the Hua clan together was to sow discord. It could be said that he was overjoyed to see this great battle. Pangu Heavenly Sovereign can fight with Hua Tiancheng to this extent? He's getting stronger and stronger. We can't let him continue to grow. The people of the 9 imperial gates, 5 elements celestial sect, heavenly curse sect, and several other immortal holy lands gathered together. They had been targeting the War God Temple. In the past 200 years, they had killed countless people from the War God Temple. However, Pangu Heavenly Sovereign and the White Dragon Horse were the most dazzling geniuses of the War God Temple. They had escaped their attacks and schemes several times. Moreover, they were getting stronger and stronger. At this moment, seeing Pangu Heavenly Sovereign attack, they all felt a great threat. The strength of Pangu Heavenly Sovereign might even surpass their saint sons and saintesses. Pangu Heavenly Sovereign's physical body is invincible. After all, it's the bloodline of great Emperor Pangu. It's powerful. However, Hua Tiancheng is the most dazzling king of the Hua clan. He has cultivated the heavenly capital scripture and many emperor techniques. I'm afraid Pangu Heavenly Sovereign hasn't obtained the true inheritance of Pangu scripture. It won't be so easy to win this battle. The Wuji saint's eyes flashed as he said slowly. Oh, so you think Pangu Heavenly Sovereign will lose? The Moon God Fairy said indifferently. Pangu Heavenly Sovereign might lose. However, it's not certain. Not only is the Pangu clan strong, but they also have the purest and strongest battle intent in the world. Now that he has joined the War God Temple and obtained the heavenly battle secret technique, coupled with the secret inheritance of the War God Temple, he might have cultivated the War God scripture. Let's see how he deals with this. The Wuji saint smiled faintly. The Hua clan is overbearing and arrogant. Hua Tiancheng is even more arrogant. He's not as pure as Pangu Heavenly Sovereign. Pangu Heavenly Sovereign will win this battle. The Moon God Fairy said calmly. She was extremely straightforward, as if she was stating a fact. Moon God Fairy, are you so sure? The Wuji saint asked in surprise. You can tell at a glance. However, Qin Miexing isn't a good person. I don't like him. He's the one who started this battle. The moon god fairy said indifferently. Qin Miexing? He's quite a character, but his temperament is not good. He only knows how to scheme behind people's backs. However, he doesn't understand that no matter what scheme, only strength is eternal. The Wuji saint said indifferently, as if he didn't take Qin Miexing seriously. Only strength is eternal? You're right. However, how many people in the divine world can see through it? The moon god fairy smiled faintly. Her eyes were deep and seemed to be filled with mockery. The battle between Pangu Heavenly Sovereign and Hua Tianchong attracted the attention of countless experts. However, Liu Bai looked indifferent, as if he wasn't worried about Pangu Heavenly Sovereign at all. He only paid attention to the Heavenly Master Hua Feng of the Hua clan to prevent him from secretly attacking. The Third Sect Master. Chapter 2789. The battle between Panga's Celestial Dipper and Hua Tianchong was clearly displayed in front of everyone. Even though the arena was called a world, and the space was incomparably firm and reinforced by a formation, the two of them were still unable to break through the space. However, the terrifying fluctuations were still felt by the crowd. Their eyes were filled with incomparable shock. How was this a spar between Panga's Celestial Dipper and Hua Tianchong? This was clearly a life-and-death battle. Panga's Celestial Dipper and Hua Tianchong were like two resplendent balls of light that crisscrossed the void. Every time they collided, terrifying energy fluctuations would erupt. Panga's Celestial Dipper was barehanded. His blood and qi were boiling. His body was incomparably powerful, filled with an immortal luster. His hair danced wildly, looking very wild. Every single one of his attacks was powerful and forceful, causing the space to tremble violently as if it was about to distort. On the other hand, Hua Tianchong's body was incomparably sharp. Baleful aura soared into the sky. Blazing saber lights condensed around his body. They were domineering and sharp, as if they could shatter everything. Great Emperor Tian Du was also known as the Saber Emperor back then. He had extremely high attainments in the Saber Dao. Most of the Emperor techniques he created were related to the Saber Dao. Hua Tianchong's talent in the Saber Dao was very high. Therefore, not only did he inherit the great Emperor Tian Du scripture, but he also cultivated the Saber Dao secret technique within it. Although Hua Tianchong couldn't resist the unparalleled physical strength of Panga's Celestial Dipper, Hua Tianchong's sharp saber light also caused considerable damage to Panga's Celestial Dipper. Panga's Celestial Dipper was dripping with blood and flesh. Dozens of densely intertwined saber marks appeared. These were all slashed by Hua Tianchong. However, Hua Tianchong didn't look happy at all. Instead, his expression became somewhat solemn. He found that Panga's Celestial Dipper was fighting with his life. It didn't seem to be guarding against his attacks at all. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many wounds on his body. However, Panga's Celestial Dipper's physical body was too abnormal. The fist marks were unparalleled. Every time they landed on Hua Tianchong's body, his body would tremble and his internal organs would be injured. Although he wasn't hit by Panga's Celestial Dipper, his injuries were not lighter than Panga's Celestial Dipper. It was just that Panga's Celestial Dipper looked more miserable. Ha! Hua Tianchong, take my Pangu void-shattering seal. Pangu Tiangang laughed out loud. He looked very wild. His body was badly mutilated, but his aura rose to the extreme. He stepped on the void, exuding a vast and unparalleled momentum. He threw a punch at Hua Tianchong. Pangu Tiangang. You're courting death. A cold light flashed in Hua Tianchong's eyes. The blazing saber light around his body rose. In an instant, hundreds of millions of saber lights gathered around his body. It seemed to have formed a saber domain around his body. It was flickering with blazing light. As Hua Tianchong pushed out, the blade domain whizzed out as if it wanted to cut the Pangu Heavenly Dipper into pieces. Crack! Suddenly, the Pangu Celestial Dipper was surrounded by chaotic light. It was as if there were thunderbolts bursting out from his palm. That fist turned into a huge palm in an instant. Chaotic thunderbolts intertwined with each other. It was extremely ferocious as it came crashing down. A towering battle intent erupted from the Pangu Celestial handle. There was also a trace of extremely pure Emperor's might. Chaotic Thunder Calamity Palm. With the Pangu celestial handle's roar, the huge palm instantly drowned out all the saber lights in the sky. Rumble. Most of the saber lights were turned into dust by the Pangu celestial handle's palm. However, some of them slashed on his body, leaving deep bloody marks. However, the Pangu celestial handle's body was extremely terrifying. The bones in his body were like crystals, crystal clear and flowing with immortal luster. When they collided with the saber lights, an incomparably crisp sound was heard. Therefore, those saber lights only caused superficial injuries to him. They couldn't even cut his bones. The Chaotic Thunder Calamity Palm slammed on Hua Tiancheng's body. Pangu celestial handle, you are despicable. Hua Tiancheng roared in anger. His eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. However, before he could finish his words, he was sent flying by the palm. Crack! The golden chain armor around Hua Tiancheng's body burst into pieces. The golden chain armor was originally an extremely powerful supreme-grade holy treasure, but it couldn't withstand the palm of Pangu's celestial handle, and was completely shattered. Puff! Hua Tiancheng spurted blood from his mouth. His entire body was trembling violently. The killing intent in his eyes was extremely strong. Half of his body suddenly exploded into a bloody mist. Streaks of chaotic lightning flashed, turning the bloody mist in the void into nothingness. Boom! Hua Tiancheng fell from the sky and smashed several huge mountains into dust. Hua Tiancheng, you want to kill me? The Pangu celestial handle sneered. Without giving Hua Tiancheng a chance to react, it stomped down in the air. Unparalleled divine power gathered on this stomp. He swelled up in the void, his muscles bulging and his blood boiling. His entire being turned into a 10,000-meter-tall giant. His huge footprints seemed to be able to crush even the immemorial divine mountains. If this stomp landed on Hua Tiancheng, even if he didn't die, he would suffer an unimaginable injury. Damn it! Hua Tiancheng roared. He was so depressed that he was about to vomit blood. His body bloomed with dazzling light. He quickly activated the majestic life force in his body. His body almost instantly became as good as new. Flowing light flashed around his body. He emitted an incomparably ethereal aura. In an instant, he broke the lock of the Pangu celestial handle on him. Then he appeared tens of thousands of feet away, dodging the stomp of the Pangu celestial handle. Crack! As the huge footprint landed, the earth trembled violently and split apart in an instant. Endless water flowed in and formed a huge lake in an instant. Pangu celestial handle, you're despicable and shameless. Do you really think I don't know any emperor techniques? Hua Tiancheng gritted his teeth and said. Just now, the Pangu celestial handle called out the Pangu void-breaking seal. But in fact, it was the emperor technique, the primal chaos thunder calamity palm. This was also the supreme emperor technique passed down by the Pangu clan. Hua Tiancheng knew it very well. He had suffered a great loss due to his carelessness. Hua Tiancheng, you and I are mortal enemies. In terms of despicable and shameless, how can I be compared to you Chinese? You believe everything I say. If I say you're my grandson, will you kneel down and call me grandpa? The Pangu celestial handle sneered. His voice trembled in the void like thunder. The corner of Lu Bai's mouth twitched slightly. The Pangu celestial handle used to be such an honest person. How could he learn to lie? The image of a white dragon horse appeared in Lu Bai's mind. There seemed to be black lines on his forehead. It was that bastard white dragon horse that led the Pangu celestial handle astray. However, when he saw Hua Tiancheng's exasperated look, why did he feel inexplicably refreshed in his heart? Lu Bai quickly dispelled the distracting thoughts in his heart. He became calm and continued to watch the battle in the arena. Chapter 2790. Pangu's Heavenly Dipper, you're courting death. Hua Tiancheng couldn't stand it anymore. His eyes were bloodshot, containing cold killing intent. The blazing saber intent in his body rose as if a terrifying force had awakened. The saber light trembled, and a storm seemed to be set off in the void. Hua Tiancheng's eyes instantly became extremely sharp, as if two saber lights were about to burst out from them. Heavenly Dipper slash. As Hua Tiancheng roared, the black light around him gathered, containing destructive fluctuations. 12 black saber lights appeared in an instant, and then they gathered together to form a destructive saber light. Heavenly Dipper slash? Panga's Heavenly Dipper's eyes flashed, revealing a dignified expression. Heavenly Dipper slash was a supreme emperor technique in the heavenly scripture. It contained the origin power of Saber Tao. It could slay gods and devils, destroy worlds, and cut through everything. Panga's Heavenly Dipper had seen this supreme emperor technique with his own eyes. Under this saber, countless powerhouses of the Pangu clan fell, turning into a rain of blood. It seemed that Hua Tianchong was forced to the extreme by Panga's Heavenly Dipper, so he even used the Heavenly Dipper slash. Come on! Panga's Heavenly Dipper's eyes also turned bloodshot. His fighting spirit was boiling, and his heartbeat was like thunder. There was only one thought in his mind. Kill Hua Tianchong. All the Chinese who knew the Heavenly Dipper slash deserved to die. He couldn't forget the tragic faces of those people of the Pangu clan who died tragically. He also couldn't forget the miserable scene when the Pangu clan was destroyed. He was thinking about revenge all the time. An ancient power seemed to have awakened in Panga's Heavenly Dipper. Rumble. The blood in his body surged like a surging river. Dazzling golden light bloomed from his body, causing his aura to skyrocket in an instant. Soon Panga's Heavenly Dipper slash turned into pure gold, as if it was cast in gold. It exuded a dazzling golden light and an immortal aura. He charged toward Hua Tianchong, and it was as if a golden storm had been set off around him. His fists, knees, feet, head, and back had all turned into murderous weapons, and he launched an incomparably terrifying attack toward Hua Tianchong. This is Panga's indestructible golden body. Hua Feng exclaimed, and his face instantly became extremely ugly. The current state of the Pangu celestial handle was very similar to the legendary Pangu indestructible golden body. No, this shouldn't be the Pangu indestructible golden body. If he really condensed the Pangu indestructible golden body, he would be invincible in the Saint King realm, and could kill Hua Tianchong with a single slap. This should be the golden divine treasure art. Hua Feng's eyes flashed as he thought to himself. He could not help but glance at the people from the Golden Sovereign clan in the distance. The golden divine treasure art was created by Great Emperor Pangu, but it was rumored that it was related to Great Emperor Pangu. Great Emperor Pangu once studied the Golden Scripture and evolved the Golden Divine Treasure art. Furthermore, the Golden Emperor clan also knew the Golden Divine Treasure technique. Once the Golden Divine Treasure art was used, the body would seem to be cast in gold. It could open the divine treasures in the body and mobilize the hidden potential of the divine treasures in the body, erupting with 10 times or 100 times the power. After using the Golden Divine Treasure art, not only was the attack power incomparably powerful, but the defensive power was also incomparably strong. It could be said to be a weakened version of the Pangu indestructible golden body. After all, the Pangu celestial handle had not obtained the Pangu scripture, so it was impossible for him to condense the Pangu indestructible golden body. It seemed that Hua Tianchong's heavenly fiend slash had also made the Pangu celestial handle feel pressured, so he did not hesitate to use the Golden Divine Treasure art. However, the Golden Divine Treasure art had a time limit. If he did not defeat or kill the opponent within a period of time, he would suffer a huge backlash and become extremely weak. Golden Divine Treasure art? It seems that this Pangu celestial handle should be from the Pangu clan. The leader of the Golden Sovereign clan was a beautiful woman in golden armor. She had a graceful figure and looked valiant. She was accompanied by a hale and hearty old man with white hair and a beard. When the beautiful woman saw the Pangu celestial handle use the Golden Divine Treasure art, her eyes revealed a trace of surprise. Pangu celestial handle. I didn't expect that there are still descendants of the Pangu clan. It seems like it's really the will of the heavens. The old man with white hair and beard sighed softly. Grandfather, if the Pangu celestial handle can't defeat Hua Tianchong, shall we save him? After all, the Pangu clan and our Golden Sovereign clan have a deep relationship. The beautiful woman sighed softly. Qingcheng, this matter is not as simple as you think. Let's wait and see. The old man with white hair and beard said non-committally. On the stage, the Pangu celestial handle and Hua Tianchong collided almost instantly. The black heavenly fiend slash seemed to be able to destroy everything. The blade light was incomparably sharp, cutting through the sky and the earth. It wanted to slash the Pangu celestial handle, but it was punched by the Pangu celestial handle. The void trembled violently, and the divine light shone brightly. The black blade light shattered everything and collided with the golden storm around the Pangu celestial handle, erupting with terrifying energy fluctuations. Pangu celestial handle, go to hell. Hua Tiancheng's eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Black light rose around his body. The black blade light split into 12 in an instant, arranged in a strange way like a formation. In an instant, they rushed towards the vital points of the Pangu celestial handle. Puff, puff, puff. Although the terrifying golden storm was incomparably powerful, it couldn't stop the heavenly fiend slash at all. It was destroyed one after another. Bloodlight filled the air as the 12 blade lights instantly slashed the Pangu celestial handle. Hua Tiancheng clearly saw that the 12 vital points of the Pangu celestial handle, including the glabella, eyes, head, heart, limbs and dantian, were all pierced by the black blade light. The terrifying destructive force continued to spread into the Pangu celestial handle's body, wanting to completely destroy its vitality. Hua Tiancheng's eyes were filled with coldness. In his opinion, the Pangu celestial handle would be severely injured even if it didn't die. After all, the heavenly fiend slash was incomparably sharp. It could cut through the sky and the earth and destroy everything. Hua Tiancheng had even cultivated this supreme emperor technique to the realm of great accomplishment. So what if it was the golden divine treasure technique? It was still destroyed by the heavenly fiend slash. You're the one who's going to die. The indifferent voice of the Pangu celestial handle resounded instantly. Boom. The golden storm around the Pangu celestial handle became more and more terrifying. The 12 blade lights around him trembled violently, and finally collapsed with a loud bang. Endless golden light gushed out from the Pangu celestial handle's body. In an instant, it traversed the void like a divine chain of order, sealing Hua Tiancheng's body. What? Hua Tiancheng's body trembled. His eyes were filled with disbelief. He didn't expect that the Pangu celestial handle could still resist and instantly imprisoned him. Chapter 2791. Hua Tiancheng even felt a murderous intent, causing his entire body to tremble unconsciously. Rumble. Pangu's celestial dipper's body was badly mutilated, and his aura became incomparably chaotic. However, his fighting spirit rose to the extreme. His pair of bleeding eyes were filled with cold killing intent. The terrifying golden storm instantly transformed into tens of thousands of powerful weapons. They pressed down mightily and drowned Hua Tiancheng. Die. Pangu's celestial dipper roared. His fist was like a dragon, containing the chaotic mist. It was as if it could split the sky and earth, directly blasting on Hua Tiancheng's chest. Rumble. At this moment, Hua Tiancheng looked incomparably miserable. His body was badly mutilated. After being hit by thousands of weapons, it was as if he had been dismembered. Even with a powerful defensive sacred treasure, he couldn't withstand such a terrifying attack. And the fatal blow was the punch of Pangu's celestial dipper. After the golden divine treasure technique erupted, the physical strength of Pangu's celestial dipper increased by 10 times or 100 times, causing Hua Tiancheng's entire body to tremble violently. His entire body suddenly exploded into a bloody mist. Even though Hua Tiancheng had broken through to the peak of the Saint King realm, he couldn't withstand the punch of Pangu's celestial dipper. Rumble. In the void, the bloody mist gathered, squirming like flesh and blood. It spewed out a powerful life force, wanting to recondense into a physical body. However, every time the physical body wanted to recondense, it was shattered by Pangu's celestial dipper. Although a peak Saint King had an incomparably majestic life force and could be reborn with a drop of blood, this didn't mean that they could be reborn indefinitely. Soon, Hua Tiancheng's flesh and blood became a little dim. The divine matter in it seemed to have been obliterated. The primordial spirit hidden in the flesh and blood seemed to be about to be reborn. Die. Pangu's celestial dipper's eyes revealed monstrous killing intent. He slapped down from the sky, and blazing chaotic lightning flashed, wanting to directly shatter Hua Tiancheng's primordial spirit. I admit defeat. Martial granduncle, save me. Hua Tiancheng's eyes were filled with incomparable fear, and he couldn't help but roar. He was really scared. He felt the threat of death. If Pangu's Celestial Dipper really captured his primordial spirit, Pangu's Celestial Dipper would never let him go. For example, if he captured the Yuanshan of Pangu's Celestial Handle, he would also torture it to death. At this moment, Hua Tiancheng didn't care about the dignity of Hua people at all. He just wanted to survive. Crack. The Pangu Celestial Handle seemed to have heard nothing. Its eyes were incomparably cold, and the chaotic lightning in its palm became even more blazing. It even contained a trace of destructive fluctuation. In an instant, it locked onto Hua Tiancheng's nascent spirit, wanting to completely obliterate it. Brat, you dare? Hua Feng roared angrily. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. He instantly struck out with his palm. The palm print was ethereal and mysterious. It penetrated the space of the arena and pressed down on the Pangu Heavenly Dipper. Elder Hua Feng, I'm afraid there's no need for you to make a move in a competition between juniors, right? Lu Bai's indifferent voice sounded. Clang. A beam of sword chi swept across the void and instantly shattered everything. It bloomed with incomparably resplendent rays of light. It arrived in front of Hua Feng and collided with Hua Feng's palm. Crack. The void trembled violently. The sword chi shattered, but it also left a deep trace of blood in Hua Feng's palm. Bright red blood dripped down, and Hua Feng's face instantly became incomparably ugly. Lu Bai, how dare you stop me? If Hua Tiancheng dies in the hands of the Pangu Celestial Handle, the War God Temple will be annihilated. Hua Feng roared angrily. You want to annihilate the War God Temple? You're not worthy. Lu Bai said indifferently. His expression was very calm. Boom. The terrifying chaotic palm print of the Pangu Celestial Handle smashed down. In an instant, several huge mountains exploded. The flesh and blood in the void turned into nothingness. However, the expression of the Pangu Celestial Handle changed slightly, because he found that Hua Tiancheng's primordial spirit had disappeared. Whoosh! At this moment, an incomparably powerful repulsive force came from the arena. It directly repelled the Pangu Celestial Handle and reappeared in the Samsara Temple. The light in Qin Miesheng's palm was dazzling. The arena in the void flew back to his palm, turned into the size of a palm, and soon disappeared. Hua Tiancheng's primordial spirit appeared beside Qin Miesheng. He looked at the Pangu Celestial Handle with eyes full of resentment. How dare you intervene in the battle between me and Hua Tiancheng? The Pangu Celestial Handle stared at Qin Miesheng coldly and said, Brother Pangu, you have won this battle. You should be lenient when possible. What's more, it's not a life and death battle. It's just a competition. It's my wedding soon. Brother Pangu, please give me some face and let it go. Qin Miesheng smiled slightly. Although he was extremely unwilling and shocked in his heart, he didn't expect Hua Tiancheng to be defeated by the Pangu Celestial Handle. However, he didn't show it on the surface. Give you some face? The battle between me and Hua Tiancheng was provoked by you. Isn't it better for me to kill him? Don't be so hypocritical. The Pangu Celestial Handle sneered, not giving Qin Miesheng any face. Qin Miesheng's eyes flashed with a trace of coldness, but soon returned to normal. He smiled at Lu Bai and said, War God Lu, Pangu Celestial Handle has won this battle. How about we call it quits? Lu Bai took a deep look at Qin Miesheng and stopped the Pangu Celestial Handle who wanted to speak. He nodded faintly and said, Okay, let's call it quits. He also understood that neither the Chinese nor the Samsara Temple would watch the Pangu Celestial Handle kill Hua Tiancheng. Hua Tiancheng, you're lucky today. The Pangu Celestial Handle sneered. Pangu Celestial Handle, don't be so proud. One day, I'll kill you with my own hands. Hua Tiancheng said with cold eyes. At this moment, he had recovered his physical body, but he looked very weak. After all, he had consumed a lot of his life origin and suffered serious injuries. It was not so easy to recover. Kill me? Don't worry, you won't have the chance. Now hand over the Pangu seal. The Pangu Celestial Handle said coldly. His body was badly mutilated, and the power of destruction gathered on his wounds. Even though his life origin was incomparably majestic, it was still difficult for him to recover from his injuries. The murderous aura around him was very eye-catching. In fact, the Pangu celestial handle was already at the end of its tether. The heavenly fiend slash was extremely terrifying. It pierced the vital parts of the Pangu celestial handle, causing him unimaginable injuries. He held his breath and fought back against Hua Tianchong. It was a battle of willpower. Otherwise, if the battle continued, the loser would probably be the Pangu celestial handle. Devour. Hearing the Pangu celestial handle mention the Pangu seal, Hua Tianchong's face instantly turned ugly. The Pangu seal was the token and key of the ancestral land of the Pangu clan. Was it really going to fall into the hands of the Pangu celestial handle? Hua Tianchong's heart was filled with unwillingness. P.S. The fourth update made up for yesterday's update. Everyone, rest early. Tomorrow's update will be 3. Chapter 2792. What? You're the heavenly king of the Chinese. Do you want to go back on your words? Pangu celestial dipper stared at Hua Tianchong and sneered. You. Hua Tianchong's eyes flashed with a cold light. He was about to spit fire. Whoosh. He gritted his teeth and threw the heavenly emperor's seal to Pangu celestial dipper. Pangu celestial dipper, don't be too proud. Hua Tianchong said in a deep voice. Although he was unwilling, he did not go back on his words. Although the Pangu seal was precious, he still gave it to Pangu celestial dipper. Hua Tianchong was not an idiot. When he took out the Pangu seal, he had already made preparations. It would be best if he could win against Pangu celestial dipper. Even if he lost, it was part of his plan to give the Pangu seal to Pangu celestial dipper. The Chinese had not found the ancestral land of the Pangu clan for so many years, so they gave the Pangu seal to Pangu celestial dipper. As long as they kept an eye on Pangu celestial dipper, they might be able to find the ancestral land of the Pangu clan. Pangu scripture and Pangu axe. The Chinese had been coveting these two supreme treasures of the Pangu clan for countless years. If they could get these two supreme treasures, they might become the strongest in the entire divine world. They might even become the ruler of the human race. And he, Hua Tianchong, might be able to reach the supreme emperor realm and become the 10th emperor of the human race. He would be invincible throughout the ages. After Pangu celestial dipper got the Pangu seal, the blood in his body surged. The Pangu seal seemed to be trembling slightly and emitting a bright light. It was indeed the real Pangu seal. Pangu celestial dipper's eyes revealed a trace of excitement. With the Pangu seal, there was hope for the revival of the Pangu clan. Celestial dipper, be careful. Hua Tianchong didn't take it out earlier or later. Why did he take it out at this time? I suspect that they want to get something from the Pangu seal. Lu Bai's devour his eyes flickered as he transmitted his voice to Pangu celestial dipper. I know. They want to enter the ancestral land of the Pangu clan through me, right? How dare a group of despicable bastards covet the supreme treasures of the Pangu clan? Pangu Tiangang responded with a sneer. However, this was not considered a dirty scheme. It could be said that it was an open scheme. Unless Pangu celestial handle did not intend to go to the ancestral land of Pangu clan, Hua people would definitely be able to find some clues and trace the location of the ancestral land of Pangu clan. Let's go. Hua Tianchong's face was ugly. Losing to Pangu's celestial dipper was still an unbearable humiliation for him. Then he turned around and walked into the courtyard with the other Hua people. Let's go too. Lu Bai smiled at the Pangu celestial handle. War God Lu, wait. Suddenly, Qin Mieshing stopped Lu Bai. What other advice does young Master Qin have? Lu Bai looked at Qin Mieshing and said indifferently. War God Lu, tomorrow will be my and Shuiwei's wedding. I hope that the War God Temple won't do anything unwise. If that's the case, I'll be grateful to the War God Temple. Qin Mieshing said with a faint smile. He looked extremely gentle. Unwise behavior? I understand what young Master Qin means. Lu Bai looked at Qin Mieshing calmly and said, War God Lu, let me make it clear. Shuiwei is my cultivation partner. Tomorrow is our wedding. I don't want anyone to cause trouble or create any unpleasant things on our wedding day. Although the Samsara temple has always been neutral, I don't think War God Lu wants to have another enemy of the War God Temple, right? Qin Mieshing said with a smile on his face. However, the threat in his words was incomparably clear. The Pangu Celestial Handle's eyes turned cold. He said coldly, Qin Mieshing, are you threatening us? Although I don't know why Shuewei wants to marry you, I know it's not her intention. The Samsara Temple took advantage of others' difficulties, and now you dare to threaten the War God Temple? Do you really think that we're afraid of the Samsara Temple? Lu Bai also said indifferently, Young Master Qin, the War God Temple won't create trouble out of nothing. However, we're not afraid of any threats. That's all I have to say. I hope you know what to do. The smile on Qin Mieshing's face gradually disappeared. He looked at Lu Bai and the Pangu Celestial Handle expressionlessly, and turned to leave. The surrounding people looked at Lu Bai and the Pangu Celestial Handle with ridicule. This was especially so for the immortal sacred grounds such as the Space-Time Sect, the Five Elements Celestial Sect, the Nine-Layered Imperial Obelisk, and the Heavenly Curse Sect. Now that they were at loggerheads with the War God Temple, they knew some inside information. Therefore, they hoped that the War God Temple would provoke the Samsara Temple. In this way, the destruction of the War God Hall would probably only take an instant. However, someone still walked toward Lu Bai and the Pangu Celestial Handle. Fatally beautiful fairy? The Pangu Celestial Handle was slightly taken aback when he saw Yi Qingqing of the Golden Sovereign clan walking over. War God Lu, Pangu Celestial Handle, I vaguely know why you're here. However, the Samsara Temple is extremely powerful and unfathomable. You must not act rashly. Otherwise, if you anger the Samsara Temple, I'm afraid that it will bring misfortune to the War God Temple. Yi Qingqing's eyes revealed a trace of concern. Thank you, fatally beautiful fairy. However, there are some things that I have to do. The Pangu Celestial Handle grinned. He looked very simple and honest, as if he was not the ruthless Pangu Celestial Handle who fought with his life on the line. Thank you, Miss Yi. We know what to do. Lu Bai nodded his head and said. Over the past 200 years, the Golden Sovereign clan had taken good care of the War God Temple. If they had not resisted the pressure of the Chinese, the War God Temple would have been in an even more miserable state. They vaguely knew that Yi Qingqing and Ling Xiao seemed to be old friends. They were quite touched by Yi Qingqing's kindness. That's good. Yi Qingqing nodded and signaled to Lu Bai and the Pangu Celestial Handle with her eyes. Then she turned and left. After all, there were too many people here and it was not appropriate to say too much. Moreover, Yi Qingqing also knew that she could only persuade them. Lu Bai and the Pangu Celestial Handle did not seem to have taken her advice. Swoosh. At this moment, a stream of light flew toward the Pangu Celestial Handle. The Pangu Celestial Handle was slightly taken aback. It did not sense any killing intent and instinctively caught it. It was a pill bottle that looked as white as jade. After it was opened, a strong fragrance assailed its nostrils. The Pangu Celestial Handle felt invigorated, and its injuries were alleviated significantly. This is the Nirvana Creation Pill? Lu Bai's eyes flashed and a trace of surprise appeared on his face. The Nirvana Creation Pill was the supreme healing panacea of the Thousand Buddha Temple. In terms of grade, it was a quasi-emperor pill. Lu Bai did not expect someone to be so generous as to give the Pangu Celestial Handle a Nirvana Creation Pill. Chapter 2793. Lu Bai raised his head and realized that the person who gave him the Nirvana Creation Pill was the Moon God Fairy of the Myriad Buddha Temple. The Moon God Fairy nodded at Lu Bai, her expression cold and indifferent. Then she turned around and floated away. Lord God of War, why did the Moon God Fairy give me the Nirvana Creation Pill? Peng Tiangang was also puzzled. I'm not sure, but I have a feeling that it has something to do with Junior Martial Uncle. A strange look appeared in Lu Bai's eyes. What? Could it be that this Moon God Fairy was also an old friend of Ling Xiao? Isn't Ling Xiao too powerful? The three fairies of the realm of the gods are related to him. If the kings of the realm of the gods knew about this, they would probably want to kill Ling Xiao. Peng Tiangang said in disbelief. Speaking of which, Jinsei Fairy was Ling Xiao's partner, Shuewei Fairy was Ling Xiao's maid, and the moon god fairy seemed to be related to Ling Xiao. In addition, Yi Qingqing of the Golden Emperor clan was also related to Ling Xiao. Panga Tiangang shook his head as he admired Ling Xiao even more. Junior martial uncle Ling Xiao was truly a god. Take the Nirvana creation pill. Don't think that I don't know that you took Hua Tianchong's heavenly fiend head-on, and suffered heavy injuries. Although you defeated Hua Tianchong, it was a Pyrrhic victory. This Nirvana creation pill should be able to heal your injuries. Who knows, your fleshly body might even be able to advance a level. Lu Bai glared at Panga Tiangang. His eyes were full of annoyance. Being glared at by Lu Bai, Pangu's celestial dipper felt his heart pounding. Lu Bai was a peerless beauty. Although he was a man, he was more beautiful than many women. Pangu's celestial dipper felt his whole body soften a little. Cough cough. I'm a real man. This is too scary. Panga Tiangang was shocked by his own thoughts and couldn't help but shudder. He quickly dispelled the distracting thoughts in his heart, but he didn't dare to look at Lu Bai anymore. He took the Nirvana creation pill and entered the courtyard to take it to heal his injuries. Tomorrow, there will be a fierce battle. In the depths of the Samsara temple, Qin Miexing's face darkened, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Lu Bai and Panga Heavenly Dipper? How dare you challenge the Samsara temple? You're overestimating yourselves. How dare you challenge the Samsara temple? Damn it. Qin Miexing's voice echoed in the hall. Young master, should we capture Lu Bai and Panga's Heavenly Dipper first? A celestial master and a peak holy king are not qualified to stir up trouble in the Samsara temple. Beside Qin Miexing, a skinny old man in a black robe opened his eyes. There was a sharp glint in his eyes. No need. With just the two of them trying to rescue Shui Wei, it was simply an impossible task. I want to see what they're up to. If they dare to make a move, I'll kill them to intimidate everyone. The War God Temple should also be erased from the divine world. A cold killing intent flashed in Qin Miexing's eyes. What should we do now? The skinny old man asked indifferently. Honored Master Ku Rong, keep an eye on them. If they do anything, you'll be the first to destroy Panga's Heavenly Dipper. Qin Miexing said coldly. All right. The skinny old man nodded. Night fell, and soon, the divine world was shrouded in darkness. The full moon in the sky was bright, and it shone with brilliant silver light. The entire Reincarnation Mountain was like a fairyland, dreamy and ethereal. Tomorrow was the day of Qin Miexing and Shui Wei's wedding. Many people who had rushed to the Samsara temple to attend the wedding were extremely excited. The huge guest palaces outside the temple were brightly lit, and all sorts of delicacies and nectar were served up. Everyone was exhilarated, and they were in awe of the Samsara temple's wealth. However, in the guest palaces of the Samsara temple, the immortal sacred grounds and ancient race were silent. They all sensed that something was amiss. I'm afraid there will be some accidents at tomorrow's wedding. Within the Samsara temple, undercurrents were surging. It was like a volcano that was about to erupt, emitting a strange aura. On a mountain peak not far away from the Reincarnation Mountain, an incomparably handsome white horse stood at the peak of the mountain. Its fur was pure white, without a single trace of impurities. It shone brightly under the moonlight. Sitting on the white horse was a young man in a red robe. He looked handsome, elegant, and extraordinary. He was like a fine young master in a chaotic world with an extraordinary temperament. They were Ling Xiao and the white dragon horse. Ling Xiao, why don't we kill our way into the Samsara temple right now? With my nose, I can easily find Shui Wei. Why do you have to wait until tomorrow? The white dragon horse asked in confusion. Why do we have to wait until tomorrow? Firstly, Shui Wei is probably under house arrest by the Samsara temple. We'll only be able to take action after she appears. Secondly, Ling Xiao said slowly, a look of nostalgia in his eyes. I remember Shui Wei once told me that she hoped that the person she loved would be a hero of the world. One day, he would ride a white horse and descend from the sky with 7 clouds. He would then bring her home. I've let her down too much. I've always been a coward. It was only today that I dared to face my own heart. This time, I'm going to fulfill Shui Wei's wish and bring her home. Ling Xiao looked at the Reincarnation Mountain in the distance. His gaze was deep, as though he could see through the layers of space. he saw a woman in a white dress. She was calm and gentle, like a snow lotus. "Shuewei, are you all right? Hero of the world? Riding a white horse? 7 clouds? So I'm just a prop for you to show off." "No, I risked my life to bring you to show off. You have to compensate me for bringing Shuewei home. First, give me tens of millions of origin pills to nourish my body." The white dragon horse rolled its eyelids and rolled its eyes. A piercing voice broke Ling Xiao's memories. "Tens of millions of origin pills? Look at how useless you are. Come, come, come. I'll reward you." Ling Xiao knocked the white dragon horse's head. The white dragon horse's eyes rolled back, and it felt as though the world was spinning. However, Ling Xiao still tossed it a storage bag. "Are you sure it's tens of millions of origin pills? Don't lie to me. Otherwise, if my waist suddenly hurts tomorrow and I throw you down from the sky, don't blame me. This is 1 billion origin pills." The white dragon horse's eyes were filled with suspicion. It took the storage bag and said cheekily. However, when it opened the storage bag, its eyes widened in surprise. Chapter 2794. Ever since Ling Xiao gave it a few million origin pills to help it stabilize its cultivation in the Saint King realm, it had been eyeing Ling Xiao's origin pills, and wanted to get more from Ling Xiao. However, it did not expect Ling Xiao to take out 1 billion origin pills. 1 billion origin pills was enough to help an ordinary person break through to the Heavenly Master realm. However, Ling Xiao did not even bat an eyelid, and took it out directly. Useless. The Samsara Temple has 18 pill rivers of origin. Have you seen any of them before? Each pill river of origin has tens of billions of origin pills. If you snatch them all back, it will be enough for you to become an emperor." Ling Xiao said angrily. "Pill river of origin? 18 of them? Snatch them all." The white dragon horse's eyes turned red as it said fiercely. It had become the public enemy of the god world over the years, and was hunted down by countless immortal holy lands, because it had stolen many treasures from the immortal holy lands and plundered their ancestral tombs. Now whenever the immortal holy lands saw it, they would want to kill it. However, the white dragon horse was also very tired. If the war god temple was not so poor, why would the white dragon horse have to go out and snatch resources? After 200 years, it finally managed to snatch enough resources to cultivate to the Saint King realm. How could it have seen so many pill rivers of origin? Pill river of origin? Since when did origin pills stop being counted in units and become a river? What kind of scene would it be if a river was filled with origin pills? At the thought of this, the white dragon horse's eyes turned red and then green. It could not wait to rush into the Samsara Temple and plunder it. "That's right. Perform well tomorrow. If you cause any trouble, I will castrate you." Ling Xiao glared at the white dragon horse and said. The white dragon horse suddenly felt a chill in its lower body. It quickly laughed and said, "Don't worry, I'm living well. I will let you steal the limelight tomorrow and snatch Shuewei back from the Samsara Temple." That bullshit Qin Miesheng dared to snatch the great heaven's chosen child's woman. He must be tired of living. The white dragon horse was full of enthusiasm, as if the 18 pill rivers of origin had already appeared in front of it. The next day, when the first ray of sunlight pierced through the sky and sprinkled on the reincarnation mountain, the entire mountain was gradually dyed with a layer of golden light. Auspicious vapors and resplendent lights made the reincarnation mountain look even more mysterious. The entire Samsara Temple was decorated with lanterns and colored banners. All the disciples and elders were overjoyed and excited. Today was the wedding day of the Saint Son and Saintess of Samsara. Qin Miesheng was going to marry Shuewei. Above the reincarnation mountain, a golden palace floated. It looked majestic and magnificent, like a vast heavenly palace. It contained an incomparably terrifying aura. In front of the palace, there was a huge white jade square. Mist lingered around it, and celestial light filled the air. It looked very peaceful. "Is that the heavenly palace of Samsara?" Someone exclaimed with an extremely excited look in his eyes. The heavenly palace of Samsara was the most mysterious palace in the Samsara Temple. It was where the ancestral masters and senior experts of the Samsara Temple were worshipped. At the same time, it was where the supreme elders of the Samsara temple discussed matters. It could be said that it represented the entire Samsara temple. The heavenly palace of Samsara was a quasi-emperor weapon. It was said to have been passed down from the antiquity age. It was extremely ancient, and was usually hidden in the depths of the Samsara temple. It was difficult for ordinary people to see the heavenly palace of Samsara. Who would have thought that the heavenly palace of Samsara would appear today? I didn't expect the Samsara temple to place so much importance on this wedding. They even brought out the heavenly palace of Samsara. It seems like Qin Miexing and Shui Wei's wedding will be held in the heavenly palace of Samsara. Someone guessed. However, at this moment, many guests from the immortal sanctuaries, ancient tribes, and imperial tribes flew into the heavenly palace of Samsara. They were all distinguished guests of the Samsara temple, and were qualified to enter the heavenly palace of Samsara. As for the other experts who were attending the wedding, they could only watch the ceremony from the White Jade Square. The golden armored guards had appeared on the White Jade Square early to maintain order. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Many figures shot up into the sky, exuding powerful auras. They landed on the White Jade Square, and waited quietly for the wedding to begin. There were more than 10,000 people watching the ceremony on the White Jade Square. However, with so many people standing on the White Jade Square, it did not feel crowded at all. Instead, it was orderly and orderly. Swoosh. A bright light shot out from the heavenly palace of Samsara, and turned into a rainbow bridge. It crossed the void and extended into the depths of the Samsara temple. The disciples of the Samsara temple stepped onto the rainbow bridge, and stood on both sides. They were all dressed in uniforms and stood tall and straight. Their eyes were bright. Shui Wei would step onto the rainbow bridge from the depths of the Samsara temple, and enter the heavenly palace of Samsara to marry Qin Miexing. This was the heavenly wedding rainbow bridge, which meant that the wedding would be held under the witness of the heavenly way. The disciples guarding the rainbow bridge were all in the sage-to-be realm. Upon closer inspection, there were thousands of disciples of the Samsara temple on the rainbow bridge. Each of them was a god-favored one with powerful auras. This was the foundation of the Samsara temple. While the crowd marveled at the grandeur of the wedding, they were also shocked by the strength of the Samsara temple. "The groom is coming out," someone exclaimed in surprise. Instantly, the crowd saw Qin Miexing walking out of the heavenly palace of Samsara. Qin Miexing was wearing a red robe with a lifelike golden dragon embroidered on it. It made him look even more majestic. Qin Miexing held a bright red lotus in his hand. He was tall and slender. His face was as clear as jade. He looked handsome and elegant. He had a faint smile on his face. His face was gentle, and his eyes were as bright as the stars. Once he appeared, he seemed to occupy the center of the world, and became the focus of everyone's attention. Qin Miexing walked out of the heavenly palace of Samsara, and stepped onto the rainbow bridge. There seemed to be golden lotuses blooming under his feet. It was a mysterious sight. There was a hint of excitement in his eyes. Today, Shui Wei was finally going to marry him. The girl who had captivated him day and night was going to be his cultivation partner. No one could take Shui Wei away from him. Moreover, he would obtain Shui Wei's origin of Samsara. His cultivation would reach the peak, and he would be invincible among his peers. Qin Miexing was extremely excited. His eyes were filled with anticipation as he looked forward to seeing Shui Wei. He wondered what kind of peerless beauty Shui Wei would have after wearing the 9-colored feather robe. "The bride is here," someone exclaimed, interrupting Qin Miexing's thoughts. Qin Miexing trembled and looked at the end of the rainbow bridge. Over there, 9-colored radiance shone resplendently, mysterious immortal light curling about. A woman dressed in 9-colored feathered clothes, wearing a phoenix crown and robes, her figure graceful, slowly stepped onto the rainbow bridge. Chapter 2795. The rainbow bridge spanned thousands of miles from the depths of the Samsara temple, all the way to the heavenly palace of Samsara. The rainbow bridge was sparkling and translucent, with auspicious vapors rising from it. Flowers fell from the sky and golden lotuses sprouting from the ground, making it seem even more sacred and mysterious. At this moment, Shui Wei appeared at the end of the rainbow bridge. She wore a 9-colored feather robe and a phoenix coronet. Her figure was graceful, light and soft. Her clothes fluttered in the wind, making her look ethereal. Behind Shui Wei, there were 18 young girls. They were all dressed in light muslin. Their faces were beautiful, and their skin was sparkling like snow. Their eyes were clear and pure. As they followed Shui Wei, they sprinkled flower petals. Shui Wei's steps were light as she walked towards the heavenly palace of Samsara. Qin Miexing was extremely excited. His eyes were filled with anticipation and joy as he walked toward Shui Wei. At this moment, everyone's attention was on Shui Wei. As expected of the famous fairy Shui Wei in the god world. Her skin is as fair as jade, and her beauty is unparalleled. Qin Miexing is so lucky. Someone sighed softly. His eyes were filled with amazement. As Shui Wei appeared in front of the crowd also saw Shui Wei clearly. They were all shocked by Shui Wei's peerless appearance. It was a flawless face. There was no flaw at all. Especially Shui Wei's eyes. They were as bright as the stars in the sky and as pure as snow. Her features were picturesque and captivating. Shui Wei exuded a pure and beautiful aura. She looked as pure as a snow lotus and as gentle as the spring water of Jiangnan. Pure and elegant, as gentle as water. At this moment, Shui Wei was wearing a 9-colored feather robe and a phoenix coronet. Her slender fingers were clasped in front of her chest as she slowly walked over. She had a graceful and noble temperament, as if she was a character who had walked out of a painting. No one could bear to destroy this beauty. Some even felt that Qin Miexing and Shui Wei on the Rainbow Bridge were not compatible at all. What a peerless beauty! My fairy Shui Wei is going to marry Qin Miexing today? My heart is going to break. Someone said in a dejected manner. In the god world, there were countless admirers of Shui Wei. When they saw the scene in front of them, they were both excited and sad. Qin Miexing is the saint son of Samsara, and is likely to become the master of the Samsara temple in the future. I'm afraid only he is worthy of fairy Shui Wei. A talented man and a beautiful woman. A match made in heaven. To be able to see such a grand wedding, it's really worth coming here. I'm afraid this is also a much-told story in the god realm, right? Everyone was discussing animatedly, their eyes filled with amazement. Many female experts felt ashamed of their inferiority when they saw Shui Wei. However, they could not feel any jealousy and could only laugh bitterly in their hearts. Right now, Shui Wei was the center and focus of the world. She had stolen everyone's attention. Even Qin Miexing was overshadowed by him. Soon Qin Miexing and Shui Wei met at the center of the Rainbow Bridge. Qin Miexing and Shui Wei stood on the Rainbow Bridge, looking like a pair of immortals. Next, Qin Miexing and Shui Wei walked into the heavenly palace of Samsara together. They knelt down and bowed 9 times to inform the deities that the wedding was about to begin. After the wedding, Shui Wei would become Qin Miexing's cultivation partner under the witness of heaven and earth. Lord God of War, should we make a move? Let's snatch Shui Wei and save her. The Panga Heavenly Gang's eyes were filled with eagerness as he transmitted his voice to Lu Bai. Don't be hasty. There are many people watching us. We need to find a chance. Moreover, I feel that there's something wrong with Shui Wei. Lu Bai said slowly. He frowned slightly and a strange light flashed in his eyes. At that moment, although Shui Wei had a smile on her face, that smile appeared somewhat cold. There seemed to be something hidden under her peerless temperament. In short, Lu Bai felt that there was something wrong with Shui Wei. Shui Wei. Qin Miexing called out affectionately from the center of the Rainbow Bridge. He reached out his hand and wanted to hold Shui Wei's hand. Let's go. Shui Wei said flatly. She didn't even look at Qin Miexing, and continued to walk forward. Qin Miexing's hand suddenly stiffened, and his face turned extremely ugly. However, Qin Miexing's expression quickly returned to normal. He still wore a smile on his face and walked side by side with Shui Wei towards the heavenly palace of Samsara. Bitch, I'll teach you a lesson after the wedding. Qin Miexing swore in his heart. Although they looked natural, many people must have seen the scene just now. They might be mocking Qin Miexing at this moment. Qin Miexing didn't expect Shui Wei to not give him face. These two don't seem to get along well. Someone said with a deep meaning. Everyone rolled their eyes and ignored him. Who didn't know the situation between Shui Wei and Qin Miexing? This wedding couldn't be compared to a normal wedding. Qin Miexing had never been in Shuiwei's heart. However, the Samsara temple didn't care. No matter who Shuiwei loved, she had to marry Qin Miexing. This was not only a wedding, but also a way for the Samsara temple to tell everyone that the Samsara temple was powerful, and that no one could go against it. Even holy maiden Shuiwei couldn't. Qin Miexing and Shuiwei walked side by side, and returned to the heavenly palace of Samsara along the Rainbow Bridge. An old man in a black robe walked out of Samsara heavenly palace. His hair and beard were white. His face was ruddy like a baby's. His eyes were deep and weathered. He had a faint smile on his face. He looked very gentle. His cultivation was unfathomable and his aura was as vast as the sea. It was as though he had merged with the surrounding heaven and earth. Everyone looked at the black-robed old man with reverence in their eyes. Heavenly Master Yufeng. He was the supreme elder of the Samsara temple and Qin Miexing's master. His position in the Samsara temple was second only to the Samsara master, and he ranked first among the supreme elders. The master of ceremonies for Qin Miexing and Shuiwei's wedding was Heavenly Master Yufeng. Greetings, Master. Qin Miexing bowed respectfully to Heavenly Master Yufeng, and his eyes were filled with excitement. Great! Heavenly Venerable Yufeng said with a faint smile, looking very amiable. Then he stood in front of the heavenly palace of Samsara temple and looked at the crowd. He was wise and mysterious, and it was as though he could see through everyone. Today Qin Miexing and Shuiwei are married under the witness of heaven and earth. I, Yufeng, as the master of ceremonies for this wedding, represent the Samsara temple to thank all of you for attending their wedding. Heavenly Master Yufeng bowed to the crowd and smiled. Third sect leader. Chapter 2796. I don't dare, I don't dare. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng is actually the MC of this grand wedding. This is too shocking. Mr. Qin and Fairy Shuiwei are a match made in heaven. We also sincerely wish them well. After hearing Heavenly Venerable Yufeng's words, everyone responded with a smile. Great! I thank everyone for your blessings on behalf of the two newlyweds. Now let the wedding officially begin. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng smiled faintly. Kneel, bow to the myriad Tao of heaven and earth. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng's expression became extremely solemn. His voice was extremely clear, and resounded above Reincarnation Mountain. It rumbled like thunder, causing the heaven and earth to tremble. Qin Miexing immediately knelt down. His eyes were filled with respect as he prepared to bow to the Tao of heaven and earth 3 times. The grand wedding ceremony of the divine realm's human race was passed down from the human race's ancestors. The human race's ancestors did not respect immortals nor demons. They only respected the heaven and earth that gave birth to them and raised them. They respected the ancestors that passed down their legacies for thousands of generations, and they respected themselves for constantly improving themselves. Therefore, the human race's grand wedding ceremony was 3 kneels and 9 bows. 1 kneel to the myriad Tao of heaven and earth. The 2nd kneel to the ancestors. The 3rd kneel to the husband and wife. The 12 immortal sacred grounds were known as the human sacred grounds. Naturally, they strictly followed the rules left behind by the human race's ancestors. Qin Miexing knelt down. However, Shuiwei, who was standing beside him, had no intention of kneeling down. Everyone's expression instantly became extremely strange. 1 kneel to the myriad Tao of heaven and earth. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng's gaze turned cold. His gaze landed on Shuiwei and he repeated it again. However, Shuiwei acted as though she did not hear it. Her expression was calm, and she still did not kneel down. Shuiwei, quickly kneel down. Qin Miexing's expression was extremely ugly. However, he still suppressed his anger and pulled Shuiwei's clothes as he said softly. Shuiwei acted as though she did not hear Qin Miexing's words. She looked afar as though she saw something. Suddenly, her entire body began to tremble. Her eyes revealed an inexplicable look of surprise. Qin Miexing, you want to marry Shuiwei? Have you asked for my permission? In the void, a faint voice teat sound. Rumble. In the sky above the Reincarnation Mountain, a blazing divine light rose and auspicious air permeated the air. In an instant, a 7-colored cloud appeared. On top of the cloud stood an extremely handsome white horse. The white horse's hair was pure white, without the slightest impurity. Its entire body was emitting a bright light, and a vast dragon's might spread out. It was as if there was a bright divine dragon coiling around it, making it look mysterious and majestic. A young man in a long red robe was riding on a white horse. He was handsome and elegant. At this moment, he was looking at Qin Mieshing indifferently. Roar. As if responding to Ling Xiao, the white horse let out a dragon's roar, causing the void in all directions to rumble. It was Soaring Cloud and White Dragon Horse. After Ling Xiao finished speaking, his gaze landed on Shui Wei. There was guilt, pity, and finally, a gentle and doting smile blossomed on his face. Shui Wei, long time no see. I remember you once said that the person you love is a peerless hero. One day, he will ride a white horse and ride a rainbow cloud to marry you. Now, I want to ask you, are you willing to marry me? Ling Zhao's gaze was filled with intense love and gentleness. This was the person he yearned for day and night. This was the person who had once risked her life for him. This was the only person in her life. Shui Wei. Ling Xiao was here. He wanted to bring Shui Wei home. Shui Wei was stunned. She looked at Ling Xiao in a daze. Tears flowed silently from her eyes like pearls across her cheeks and landed at the corner of her mouth. It was sweet. Shui Wei nodded her head vigorously. Her voice was trembling and choked with sobs. She called out softly, "Young master." Those two words caused Ling Zhao's heart to tremble. How dare you? Who are you? How dare you behave so atrociously in the reincarnation temple? Heavenly Venerable Yufeng roared, his eyes revealing a trace of ice-cold killing intent. His voice was vast and mighty. It was like a violent storm that contained a terrifying sound wave attack. It wanted to rush into Ling Zhao's sea of consciousness and destroy his primordial spirit. However, when the sound wave reached a distance of 10 feet from Ling Xiao, it instantly dissipated into nothing. Ling Xiao did not even look at him. He continued to look at Shui Wei affectionately with a bright smile on his face. Damn it! Who are you? At this moment, Qin Mieshing was the angriest. His entire body trembled violently, and he was about to go mad. His handsome face was somewhat distorted as he glared at Ling Xiao. He suddenly felt that he was being cuckolded. Who the hell is this bastard? No, Shui Wei called him young master? Could it be? Qin Mieshing seemed to have thought of something. His body trembled violently, and his eyes were filled with horror. Ling Xiao. Someone suddenly exclaimed. His eyes were filled with disbelief as if he had seen a ghost. Someone had recognized Ling Xiao. 200 years ago, Ling Xiao had dominated the battle of Ling Xiao mountain range. He had killed many sages, supreme sages, and even sage kings. He had caused the realm of the gods to be bathed in blood. After that battle, Ling Xiao had become a taboo name. 200 years had passed and people had forgotten Ling Xiao's appearance. However, many experts from the Immortal Sanctuary had gathered here. There were still people who recognized Ling Xiao and revealed his identity. What? Ling Xiao? Could it be? Could it be that he is the legendary taboo person? The chosen one from 200 years ago? Everyone was completely shocked. They did not expect the taboo person from 200 years ago to return. It's Ling Xiao. I didn't expect him to survive the explosion of the wordless heavenly book. Not only did he survive, but he has also returned to the realm of the gods. He came to the reincarnation temple this time to steal the bride? He was once the chosen one. He is indeed daring to create the reincarnation temple. No wonder he is the most likely person to become the 10th emperor of the human race. Everyone was boiling with excitement. Their eyes were filled with excitement. Many of the younger generation grew up hearing about Ling Xiao's achievements. Now that they saw Ling Xiao, it was as if they had seen their idol. Their faces were flushed with excitement. Ling Xiao, it's Ling Xiao. Lord God of War, Ling Xiao is back. Ling Xiao is really back. Pangu Tiangang widened his eyes and trembled. He and Lu Bai had decided to save Shui Wei. They did not expect Ling Xiao to return at this time. Junior Master is back. The reincarnation temple is in trouble today, Lu Bai said with a faint smile. Although he looked calm, his slightly trembling hands showed that his heart was not calm at all. Ling Xiao's return caused an uproar in the reincarnation temple. Third sect leader. Chapter 2797. Damn it. Ling Xiao. How could he still be alive? Qin Miexing's face darkened. He did not expect Ling Xiao to come to the Samsara temple. He had thought that Lu Bai and Pangu's celestial body might cause trouble, but he had sent Celestial Master Withered Glory to keep an eye on them. As long as they made the slightest move, Celestial Master Withered Glory would take action. However, Ling Xiao's appearance was still beyond Qin Miexing's expectation. Ling Xiao. So what if he's Ling Xiao? It's not 200 years ago anymore. How dare you cause trouble in the Samsara temple? I'll make sure you don't leave. Qin Miexing's eyes flashed with a sharp light. Shuewei, come. I'll take you home. Ling Xiao said to Shuewei with a smile, as if he did not see the hatred in Qin Miexing's eyes. Swoosh! Shuewei could not hold it in any longer. Tears streamed down her face, but her eyes were filled with joy. She leaped up and flew toward Ling Xiao. For many days and nights, she had thought about how wonderful it would be if her young master could come and see her. Even though she was forced to marry Qin Miexing, she did not regret it. As long as her young master could be safe and happy, she would be happier than anyone else. However, she did not expect that her young master would really come today. Furthermore, the young master still remembered the words she had said when she was in love. She had said that she hoped that the person of her dreams would be a peerless hero, and that one day, he would ride a white horse and ride a rainbow-colored cloud to bring her home. Her young master remembered all of that. Now he was here. Ling Xiao was dressed in a red robe, riding a white dragon horse and gathering 7 colored clouds. He was going to the Samsara temple alone. Shuewei's heart was wrapped in happiness and joy. At this moment, everything was thrown to the back of her mind. She only wanted to throw herself into Ling Xiao's embrace and hug her young master tightly. Shuewei, how dare you? Qin Miexing shouted. His eyes were about to spit fire. He leaped into the air, a terrifying aura surging around him. His handsome face was a little distorted as he reached out to grab Shuewei's arm. Ling Xiao? How dare you cause trouble in the Samsara temple? Don't blame me for being rude. A cold glint flashed in heavenly venerable Yufeng's eyes as he said coldly. Then he slammed his palm down towards Ling Xiao. Rumble. The gigantic palm print covered the sky and covered the earth. It contained an aura that could destroy everything. It enveloped Ling Xiao and the white dragon horse. Although Emperorian Yufeng was also incomparably shocked by Ling Xiao's appearance, he was even more furious in his heart. So what if Ling Xiao was the chosen one? The Samsara temple had been in the divinity world for billions of years, and was known as the immortal sacred land. How dare a mere Ling Xiao challenge the authority of the Samsara temple? He must be courting death. In Emperorian Imperial Wind's view, Ling Xiao was merely a junior, and could be suppressed with a flip of a palm. After suppressing Ling Xiao, Qin Miexing might even be able to extract the heaven's fate from him, and integrate it into his body. At that time, Qin Miexing would definitely surpass his peers and become the strongest person among the younger generation in the divine world. Not good. Emperorian Imperial Wind made a move. Ling Xiao is finished this time. Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with awe. That was a heavenly master expert, an overlord in the divine world. In the immortal sacred land, he was a top-notch expert who controlled the fate of heaven. Ling Xiao had just attained the Tao and became a sage 200 years ago. Even if he was extraordinarily talented, he was at most on par with some of the younger kings like Qin Miexing. He might even be inferior. In the face of a heavenly master's suppression, there was no way he could resist at all. Lord God of War, should we make a move? Panga Tiangong's eyes revealed a tinge of worry. Let's wait first. Perhaps we don't have to make a move. Lu Bai's eyes flashed. Looking at Ling Xiao's calm and indifferent face, a thought suddenly emerged in his mind. Boom. Just as Emperorian Imperial Wind's palm was about to hit Ling Xiao, Ling Xiao's expression was very calm. There was no trace of panic on his face. He also threw a punch out. The golden fist print was surrounded by chaotic aura. It looked dazzling, as though there was no aura of smoke and fire. It had a kind of ethereal feeling. When the fist and palm collided, the void instantly trembled violently. That palm print actually exploded with a loud bang. Ling Xiao's golden fist print did not lose its momentum. Its speed was extremely fast and instantly blasted toward Empyrean Imperial Wind. Moreover, its aura was getting stronger and stronger. There was a faint wind and thunder momentum. What? Empyrean Imperial Wind's expression changed. His eyes were filled with disbelief. However, he did not have time to think too much. Ling Xiao's punch actually made him feel a strong threat. He suddenly roared. Terrifying sage aura spread around his body. Then he threw a punch out. Crack. The void suddenly shattered. Ling Xiao's punch seemed to be able to destroy everything. It contained unparalleled divine power, causing Empyrean Imperial Wind's body to tremble violently. Then he was directly sent flying. What? Everyone was stunned. Their eyes were filled with disbelief. They did not dare to believe what they saw in front of them. Empyrean Imperial Wind was actually sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch? Bang. At the same time, Shuewei also threw out a palm. The light of reincarnation gushed out from her palm and sent Qin Miexing flying. She was no longer obstructed and flew directly toward Ling Xiao. Young master. Shuewei's face bloomed with an incomparably bright smile. Her eyes were bright and resplendent, filled with happiness. Shuewei. Ling Xiao stretched out his arms and looked at the peerless figure in white in front of him. His heart was a little absent-minded, but his eyes became more and more determined. Since when had the image of that young girl in a white dress been engraved in his heart forever? Was it the moment he opened his eyes and saw her after his rebirth? Or was it countless times when she was not afraid of death and sacrificed for you thousands of times without asking for anything in return? Ling Xiao did not know. But what he knew was that that figure had long been imprinted in his heart. He could no longer forget it. A fragrant wind blew in his face. Her smile was like a flower. That tearful smile made one's heart ache. Just like that, I held you in my arms. Ling Xiao hugged Shuewei tightly. He did not want to let go anymore. The taste of love is so sour and smelly. The white dragon horse muttered softly, but there was a trace of a smile in its eyes. Lovers finally found their way together. Ling Xiao, hand Shuewei over. Otherwise, no matter how powerful you are, you will definitely die if you dare to go against the Samsara Temple. Qin Miexing's eyes were spitting fire. He stared at Ling Xiao and Shuewei and roared angrily. There was a flame of jealousy burning in his heart. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Numerous golden armor guards with terrifying auras shot up into the sky and formed a huge battle formation. They surrounded Ling Xiao and Shuewei in the center. Their eyes were cold and filled with killing intent. Ling Xiao, this is the Samsara Temple. You are not allowed to behave atrociously here. Hand over Shuewei and kneel down to accept your death. Perhaps I will leave you with a complete corpse. Heavenly Master Yufeng said coldly. His killing intent was boiling like a storm, and it swept out in all directions. It locked onto Ling Xiao, who was in the center. Peak. Chapter 2798. Rumble. Qin Miexing led the golden armor guards and formed a powerful battle formation, enveloping Ling Xiao within it. Xiaoming Xiaoming. Calm. The battle formation spewed out blazing radiance, and a murderous aura filled the air. It was as if a peerless killing intent was gathering. Blazing sword chi and saber radiance rose, as if they could destroy everything. Qin Miexing was the core of the battle formation. He was originally a peak holy king, and with the help of the battle formation, his aura soared and became even more terrifying. Golden armor battle formation. Qin Miexing is a peak holy king, and with the help of the golden armor battle formation, he can at least unleash the combat strength of a supreme holy king. Someone's eyes flashed, and he said slowly, Qin Miexing, Celestial Master Yufeng, and Celestial Master Ku Rong, who was hiding in the dark, locked onto Ling Xiao and Shuewei. The void around them trembled, as if they were going to launch a fatal attack at any time. So what if you're Ling Xiao? How dare you behave so atrociously in the Samsara Temple, and no one can save you? You should have died long ago. This time, you'll completely sink into oblivion. The eyes of the space-time heavenly sect, the heavenly curse sect, the 5 elements heaven sect, the 9 imperial gates, and the Hua tribe were filled with murderous intent. They had a great feud with Ling Xiao, and they were more nervous than anyone else about Ling Xiao's return. However, Ling Xiao had angered the Samsara temple, and this made them extremely happy. They could not wait for the experts of the Samsara temple to kill Ling Xiao immediately. Moreover, they vaguely separated Ling Xiao and Liu Bai, and their murderous intent surged around them, preventing Liu Bai from helping Ling Xiao at any time. Feeling the murderous intent surging around them, Shui Wei's expression changed slightly. She looked at Ling Xiao worriedly and said, "Young master, let's kill our way out together. We mustn't linger. If the Samsara master comes out of seclusion, we'll be in big trouble." She had been immersed in joy, and only now did she regain her senses, and her heart was filled with worry. She knew Ling Xiao's intentions, and that was enough. She would not let her young master fall into a desperate situation. "Shui Wei, do you trust me?" Ling Xiao smiled and looked at Shui Wei affectionately. His expression was calm and gentle, as if he did not notice the murderous intent surging around him. He only had eyes for Shui Wei. "Young master, of course I believe you." Shui Wei nodded seriously and said, "That's great. Today, of course I'm going to take you away. However, those who forced you should all die." Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He did not deliberately lower his voice. His voice was extremely clear, and it spread throughout the entire Samsara heavenly palace in an instant. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao strangely as though they were looking at an idiot. How could this chosen one be so arrogant and conceited? Not only did he barge into the Samsara temple to kidnap the bride, he even wanted to kill someone. Did he really think that the Samsara temple was a pushover? Adulterers go to hell. Qin Miexing was about to go crazy. Seeing Ling Xiao and Shui Wei being so intimate, the flames of jealousy burned in his heart. He could not tolerate it at all and exploded in an instant. Qin Miexing roared angrily and threw a punch at Ling Xiao. His body contained a terrifying holy aura, causing the surrounding void to vibrate violently. Qin Miexing felt that his body was filled with power. The laws of heaven and earth around him were so clear that he could manipulate them at will, and use them for his own use. In the void, a black vortex spun endlessly. A black fist imprint that contained extreme death and darkness exploded with a great destructive force, pressing down on Ling Xiao. Supreme Emperor Skill, Great Samsara Fist of Obliteration. This was the Supreme Emperor skill recorded in the Reincarnation Scripture, and it was also the supreme secret skill of the Samsara Temple. It was ferocious and domineering, and the fist essence was vast and mighty. It was extremely terrifying and wanted to destroy the Samsara way. With Qin Miexing's combat strength as a supreme sage king, even a holy master would feel threatened by the great Samsara Fist of Obliteration. "Qin Miexing, Shui Wei is my woman. Do you think you're worthy of marrying her?" Ling Xiao said flatly and walked towards Qin Miexing in the void. In the face of the ferocious great Samsara Fist of Obliteration, Ling Xiao's eyes shone brightly. He did not dodge. Dense purple qi surrounded him as he threw out a punch. Crack. The blazing purple light exploded with a loud bang. It was as if a bright sun had appeared in the sky. Purple qi spread out for 30,000 miles, exuding an immortal and mysterious fluctuation. The great Tao of heaven and earth was trembling and resonating with it. Runes of the Dharma instantly merged into Ling Xiao's punch, and met the great Samsara Fist of Obliteration. With the support of myriad Tao, his physical body was immortal. This was the ultimate physical strength and the supreme power of the primordial immortal body. Just the strength of his physical body alone could suppress everything and sweep away all enemies. Everyone's expression changed when Ling Xiao made his move. Everyone could feel an endless amount of purple qi curling up and chaotic light rising. Within it, Ling Xiao seemed to have become an invincible, peerless emperor. His casual punch contained an aura that made their souls tremble. The vast fist essence could contain and destroy everything. Rumble. The two fist prints collided in an instant. The ferocious and overbearing fist print erupted, instantly triggering a terrifying storm of divine light that spread out in all directions in an instant. Ling Xiao and Qin Miexing's clothes fluttered. Blazing light bloomed from their bodies. The surrounding void began to distort violently. However, Qin Miexing's fist mark only lasted for a moment before it exploded with a loud bang. Qin Miexing's expression changed drastically as he felt a supreme fist intent that could topple mountains and overturn seas assault his face. His entire body shook violently as his arm suddenly exploded into a bloody mist, and then he was directly blasted flying. Puff! Qin Miexing felt a sweet taste in his throat. He could not help but spit out a mouthful of blood. Do the so-called immortal sacred grounds and Samsara temple only know how to bully the weak? You've been high and mighty all these years. I'm afraid you've gotten used to bullying others. But you shouldn't have provoked me. You shouldn't have forced my woman. Ling Xiao's eyes were sharp. He stared at Qin Miexing in front of him. Killing intent rose around him. He was like a celestial emperor on an inspection tour. That majestic aura caused everyone's expression to change greatly. Protect the young master. The golden-armored guards roared. Their eyes were filled with killing intent as they pounced toward Ling Xiao. Boom. Although the golden-armored guards were powerful, with the weakest being in the Sage-to-Be realm, they were like moths to a flame in the eyes of the crowd. Before the ordinary golden-armored guards could get close to Ling Xiao, they were torn apart by a twisting force and turned into a bloody mist. Chapter 2799. The sages and great sages unleashed their full cultivation and strength. However, what made them despair was that Ling Xiao's footsteps were slow and firm. Every step he took was as though he was stepping on a node between heaven and earth. Sui Ming Xiao Shuo WW Sui Ming Bang. 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 Every step Ling Xiao took had a vast heavenly might gushing out, causing those sages and great sages to cough blood and retreat. They were not even qualified to stand in front of Ling Xiao. They realized in despair that the gap between them and Ling Xiao was so big. Damn it! How can Ling Xiao be so strong? Hua Tiancheng's face was extremely ugly, and his eyes were filled with horror. Who was Qin Miexing? Qin Miexing was a young genius of the divine world. Although he was slightly weaker than Hua Tiancheng, he wasn't much weaker. Moreover, after activating the golden armor battle formation, he was able to unleash the battle prowess of a supreme saint king. Even Hua Tiancheng wasn't a match for Qin Miexing. However, Qin Miexing was still defeated by Ling Xiao. A crushing defeat. He was no match for Ling Xiao at all. The saints and saintesses of the 9 imperial gates, Spacetime Heavenly Gate, Heavenly Curse Sect, and other immortal sacred grounds looked even worse. They were all panicking and no longer had their previous calmness and pride. Ling Xiao's powerful attack had directly crushed all their pride. They realized in despair that whether it was 200 years ago or 200 years later, Ling Xiao was the chosen one who was powerful enough to make all his peers despair. Could it be that this boy has already broken through to the Heavenly Master realm? He hasn't revealed any cultivation until now. He's only using his physical strength to fight the enemy. Heavenly Master Radiant Peak's eyes were also uncertain. He was extremely shocked and somewhat unable to accept it. As a Heavenly Master of the Hua clan, he had spent millions of years cultivating to his current realm, but Ling Xiao only used 200 years. Compared to Ling Xiao, it was as if he had lived a dog's life. Ling Xiao hasn't revealed any cultivation until now. He only threw out 2 punches, but one punch forced Heavenly Master Yufeng back, and the other punch defeated Qin Miexing. This boy's momentum has already been established. Someone exclaimed in amazement, feeling extremely emotional. 200 years ago, the battle at the Lingxiao mountain range was incomparably tragic. Speaking of which, although the immortal Holy Lands were hostile to Lingxiao, they had only sent saints, great saints, and some ordinary saint rulers. At that time, Lingxiao had just reached sainthood with his physical body. In the intense battle at the Lingxiao mountain range, he had even reached sainthood with his physical body, Law's nascent spirit and heart force. At that time, Ling Xiao would need the help of monarch weapons and chaos treasures to kill a saint king. Unlike now, whether it was a peak stage saint king or a heavenly venerable, no matter how strong you were, to Ling Xiao, they were all suppressed with a flip of his palm. This kid must not be allowed to live. Heavenly Venerate Radiant Peak, and the other Heavenly Venerate elders from the immortal Holy Lands exchanged a glance. They could see the cold killing intent in each other's eyes. The talent and battle prowess that Ling Xiao displayed were too terrifying. They were shocked beyond belief and even felt a sense of panic. if they allowed Ling Xiao to continue growing, then not to mention their lives, it was likely that a few of the immortal sacred grounds of the divine realm would be destroyed. They were surrounded by terrifying killing intent. Cold light flashed in their eyes as if they were ready to strike at any time. Everyone, Ling Xiao is a member of the War God Temple. If anyone wants to die, then I don't mind fulfilling his wish. Lu Bai also saw that the elders were ready to strike. He smiled faintly as a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Humph! Heavenly Venerate Radiant Peak, and the others sneered. They did not take Lu Bai's threat to heart at all. They came to an agreement almost instantly. Ling Xiao must die. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body exuded a vast aura. Many golden armored guards roared as they pounced on him. However, they were suppressed by the terrifying aura. They either turned into blood mist or were sent flying. No one could even force him to strike. Damn it! How can you be so strong? Qin Miexing's face was extremely ugly. Looking at Ling Xiao, who was walking towards him step by step, he could not help but feel a sense of panic. How dare you? At the same time, in the void, Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng's eyes darkened. Murderous intent surged around him, as if there was a great destructive reincarnation aura spreading out. Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng threw a punch at Ling Xiao. The fist print was unparalleled, and contained a trace of Extreme Emperor's aura. In an instant, it was like an immemorial sacred mountain, pressing down mightily. It was also a Supreme Emperor skill, the Great Reincarnation Fist of Obliteration. Qin Miexing's Great Reincarnation Fist of Obliteration was passed down from Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng. However, Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng was known as the #1 Supreme Elder of the Samsara Temple. He had comprehended the Samsara scripture and many Supreme Emperor skills. His strength was extremely terrifying. Naturally, the Great Reincarnation Fist of Obliteration that he displayed was not something that Qin Miexing could compare to. Previously, Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng was pushed back by Ling Xiao's punch due to his carelessness. This made him extremely angry. Now that he had attacked with the Great Reincarnation Fist, he wanted to suppress Ling Xiao directly. Great Reincarnation Fist of Obliteration? Now that's interesting. It's not easy for you to cultivate this Emperor art to the greater mastery stage. Ling Xiao's eyes lit up as he smiled faintly. Ling Xiao felt a sense of threat from Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng's punch. At the same time, his blood began to boil. It was always good to have a challenge. If the Samsara Temple was filled with weaklings like Qin Miexing, it would be meaningless to kill them. Although Ling Xiao looked calm and indifferent, his heart was filled with a frenzied killing intent. The Samsara Temple had touched his reverse scale by forcing Xue Wei to marry Qin Miexing. Anyone who touched the reverse scale of a dragon would die. Today, not only was he going to take Xue Wei away, but he was also going to establish his dominance in the Samsara Temple. He was going to kill them until their blood flowed like a river. At the same time, he was going to tell the entire divine world that Ling Xiao was back. Rumble. Facing Heavenly Venerable Imperial Wind, who was looking down from above, purple qi rose around Ling Xiao's body. Primal chaos mist pervaded the air, and a powerful fist intent burst out majestically. Ling Xiao threw out a punch. The void shattered and divine light was dazzling. It was as if an ancient world had appeared. Ling Xiao's punch seemed to have penetrated the endless space-time, the past and the future. It contained the aura of civilization and time. It wanted to shatter the reincarnation era and create an immortal world. The Epic Fist. Every time Ling Xiao used the Fist of the Epic, he would gain new insights. Now that he was facing the Great Samsara Fist of Obliteration, his Fist of the Epic seemed to sublimate again, nurturing a trace of the concept of Samsara obliteration. Rumble. The entire sky above the Reincarnation Mountain was shaking. Everyone saw that the collision between Ling Xiao and Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng had caused the surrounding void to shatter. Divine chains of order that contained immortal runes shot out from the void. Vast Emperor aura gushed out and shrouded the entire Samsara Temple. A powerful force exploded. It was the Supreme Emperor array of the Samsara Temple. At this moment, no one activated the power of the Emperor array. However, because the collision between Ling Xiao and Heavenly Venerate Yu Feng was so terrifying that it almost destroyed the entire Samsara Temple, the Emperor array automatically activated and sealed the shattered void. Chapter 2800. Rumble. Destruction, reincarnation, civilization, epic. All kinds of mysterious great Tao laws intertwined as the vast fist essence collided. In the eyes of the crowd, it looked like two brilliant balls of light were colliding, but it also looked like two ancient worlds were merging. This was the battle between Ling Xiao and Heavenly Master Yu Feng. It was the battle between the epic fist and the great samsara fist of obliteration. Although the epic fist that Ling Xiao had comprehended was not an emperor technique, and did not incorporate the great emperor's origin that he had comprehended, it was the supreme fist principle that he had cultivated and merged with all kinds of techniques. It was also the most suitable Tao for him. When Ling Xiao used the epic fist, he could unleash his strongest combat strength. The battle between him and Heavenly Master Yu Feng was extremely intense. Divine light trembled in the void. In an instant, the two of them threw out thousands of punches. Each punch contained the power to kill a sage king, causing them to be shrouded in a layer of terrifying storm. That terrifying power even triggered the automatic defense of the Thousand Tribulations Reincarnation Grand Formation. Vast and mighty Emperor Aura rose, and the aura was terrifying to the extreme. Everyone looked at the scene of the battle between Ling Xiao and Heavenly Venerable Yu Feng in the void, and their eyes revealed incomparably shocked expressions. Young Master, how did you become so powerful? Heavenly Master Yu Feng is known as the strongest person below the Emperor realm. He is also the leader of the Supreme Elders of the Samsara Temple. He has cultivated several powerful Emperor techniques, and even comprehended the reincarnation scripture. Does this mean that young Master has also broken through to the Heavenly Master realm? Shui Wei's eyes widened and were filled with shock. Heavenly Masters are nothing. Ling Xiao is the future 10th Emperor of the human tribe. Shui Wei, you will be the Empress by then. These audacious bastards dare to offend the 10th Emperor of the human tribe? They don't know what's good for them. I think we should kill them all. The white dragon horse sneered. Don't talk nonsense. Although young Master is powerful, as far as I know, the Samsara Master has most likely taken that step. Young Master will be in danger if he continues to stay here. Shui Wei's cheeks turned red and she said worriedly, that step? Emperor? Emperor? The white dragon horse trembled and widened its eyes. Suddenly, it felt a chill on its back. It should be. Shui Wei said as she nodded solemnly. Then let's run. Ling Xiao should have had enough of acting cool. Let's spare these bastards from the Samsara Temple first. We'll kill them later. The white dragon horse laughed dryly. It kept looking around with its sneaky eyes, feeling as if there was a pair of invisible eyes watching everything that was happening around it. Rumble. A blazing explosion rang out in the void, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently in an instant. Emperor Yu Feng's figure directly flew out horizontally. A huge bloody hole appeared on his chest. The fierce and vast fist intent lingered around it, causing his injuries to be unable to heal. Even now, you still can't find your own path. You are no match for me. Ling Xiao said indifferently with a calm expression. What? Emperor Yu Feng was actually defeated by Ling Xiao? Someone exclaimed in a trembling voice. Heavenly Venerable Yu Feng was one of the strongest experts in the Samsara Temple. If even he was defeated by Ling Xiao, who else in the Samsara Temple would be a match for Ling Xiao? Impossible. How could he possibly worship Shizhuan? Ling Xiao, I'll definitely kill you. Qin Miesheng's eyes were filled with disbelief. His pale face became distorted and crazy as he roared in his heart. Ku Rong, capture that bitch Shui Wei. Didn't he say that Shui Wei is his woman? Very well. I'd like to see if he'll die for Shui Wei. Qin Miesheng suddenly transmitted his voice, which was filled with a monstrous killing intent. All right, an old voice sounded. In the next moment, Shui Wei sensed an extremely great threat approaching her. Immediately, a gleam of light flashed through her eyes, and the tremendous power of samsara around her surged. It turned into a black streak of light, and suddenly slashed towards her back. Swoosh! An extremely old figure silently appeared behind Shui Wei. He smashed the black sword radiance with his palm, and then reached out to grab Shui Wei. Empyrean withered glory? Shui Wei's face changed slightly. In an instant, blazing sword chi rose from her palm, and a black ancient sword burst out with a peerless sharpness, slashing at Empyrean Withered Glory. "Shuewei, you're no match for me," Empyrean Withered Glory said calmly. He reached out to grab the black ancient sword, and then hit Shuewei with his palm. Shuewei's body shook violently and she was sent flying. Her face was slightly pale, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. "You're courting death." Ling Zhao's eyes were filled with a monstrous killing intent. He punched at Empyrean Withered Glory. Endless purple lightning rose, and the punch contained a murderous intent that could destroy everything. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Empyrean Withered Glory's face changed, and he looked solemn. He did not dare to take Ling Zhao's punch head-on. In an instant he waved his sleeves, and thick branches suddenly appeared, wrapping around Ling Zhao like vines. At the same time, Empyrean Withered Glory shifted the void and grabbed at Shuewei. As long as he had Shuewei in his hands, Ling Zhao would definitely hold back. "Samsara Temple. Why do you have to force me?" Shuewei looked at Empyrean Withered Glory, and there was a trace of loneliness in her eyes. The blood at the corner of her mouth was a ghastly sight, and it made one's heart ache. Rumble. In an instant, blazing light burst out from Shuewei's body, and 3 mysterious runes appeared around her. They were filled with the aura of samsara. They were extremely simple, and they contained a mysterious Taoist rhyme. "This is Samsara Dao Seal." Empyrean Withered Glory trembled, and there was a look of disbelief in his eyes. He could not help but exclaim, "Boom, boom, boom." The 3 runes around Shuewei's body instantly shattered, and Shuewei's aura soared crazily. Shuewei originally looked like an ordinary king sage, but after the 3 runes were shattered, her aura began to rise. Ordinary king sage, peak king sage, supreme king sage, Empyrean. The shattering of the 3 runes caused Shuewei's aura to rise to the Empyrean realm before it gradually calmed down. Swoosh! Shuewei slashed out a ray of sword chi in the air. The sword will was extremely sharp and mighty, and it contained the will of samsara. It sent Empyrean Withered Glory flying. At the same time, Ling Zhao also shattered the branches and vines in the sky and flew toward Shuewei. "Young master, let Shuewei fight alongside you today, okay?" Shuewei held a black ancient sword in her hand, and the sword chi around her rose. It was as if there was a trace of extreme Dao power that spread out, making Shuewei look even more mysterious and powerful. The smile at the corner of Shuewei's mouth was gentle and radiant, and it made Ling Zhao's heart skip a beat. Instantly, boundless pride surged within him. "All right, Shuewei, let's fight our way out of the Samsara Temple today. I'd like to see who dares to stand out." Ling Zhao laughed loudly, and the vast heavenly might around him gushed out, causing the surrounding sky to tremble. He and Shuewei stood side by side like a pair of immortals. However, the 2 terrifying Empyrean auras caused everyone's expression to change drastically. Shuewei was also an Empyrean expert. Apex. Chapter 2801. Shuewei, are you betraying the Samsara Temple? Heavenly Venerable Yufeng's eyes were filled with shock and anger. He did not expect Ling Zhao's strength to be so terrifying, nor did he expect Shuewei to break through to the Heavenly Venerable realm. How could this be? 200 years ago, Shuewei had entered the forbidden land of Samsara to cultivate in seclusion. She had only just broken through to the sage realm after the reincarnation of 10,000 realms. How could she have reached her current realm in just 200 years? Ling Zhao's terrifying combat strength was even more unbelievable to Heavenly Venerable Yufeng. The reason why Heavenly Venerable Yufeng could become the leader of the Supreme Elders of the Samsara Temple, and was even known as the strongest person below the Emperor realm, was not only because he had comprehended the reincarnation scripture and cultivated many Emperor techniques, but more importantly, he had killed a Heavenly Venerable before. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng was famous in the divine world. However, not only did he lose to Ling Zhao, but he also lost miserably. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng even felt despair when he realized that Ling Zhao had the strength to crush him. However, he seemed to be using him to practice his fist techniques. That was why he could exchange so many blows with him. Otherwise, he would not be able to withstand more than a few blows from Ling Zhao. Once Ling Zhao and Shuewei joined forces, who could stop them? If the two of them were to fight their way out of the Samsara temple, the Samsara temple would become the laughingstock of the divine world. Betray the Samsara temple? I will not betray you. However, I am not willing to marry Qin Miexing either. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng, why do you have to force me? As long as you agree to let me and young master leave, I will beg young master to spare your lives. Shuiwei said calmly. Spare our lives? Ha ha ha. What a joke. Shuiwei, do you really think that Ling Xiao can do whatever he wants in the Samsara temple just because he is the chosen one? Since you are determined to betray the Samsara temple, don't be obedient and let me clean up the place. Heavenly Venerable Yufeng laughed in anger. The terrifying killing intent around him surged, causing the void around him to tremble violently. What chosen one? Ling Xiao is just a spy from the demon world. Everyone has the right to kill him. We can't let him wreak havoc in the Samsara temple. The Chinese are willing to lend a hand. Hua Tianchong sneered, his eyes incomparably cold. Behind him, Heavenly Venerable Radiant Peak stepped forward, his body exuding a vast aura. His eyes were incomparably cold as they locked onto Ling Xiao. The Chinese had chosen to side with the Samsara temple. Everyone's expression changed. The Chinese are no longer watching from the sidelines, and are starting to target Ling Xiao. The Chinese, the 9 imperial gates, the Heavenly Curse sect, the Spacetime Heavenly Gate, the 5 Elements Heavenly sect, and the other immortal sacred grounds led by the Chinese could be said to be Ling Xiao's mortal enemy. 200 years ago, it was precisely because they coveted the heavenly Dao karmic luck and the wordless heavenly book on Ling Xiao that they sent experts to kill Ling Xiao at the soaring sky mountain range. Now that Ling Xiao had returned to the divine realm and displayed such terrifying battle prowess, their hearts were filled with shock and fear. Hence they chose to attack Ling Xiao. Since they were already mortal enemies, they should completely exterminate the other party and not leave any future troubles. That's right. Ling Xiao, 200 years ago you colluded with the devil race and killed the strong cultivators of the human race. Now you actually dare to come back? Today, you will die without a proper burial ground. The Heavenly Venerate Patriarch of the 9 Imperial Gates was a middle-aged man in a black dragon robe. He wore a flat crown on his head and looked extraordinarily dignified. Ling Xiao, you scum of the human race, die. Don't even think about leaving the Samsara temple today. A spy of the devil race and a scum of the human race. Everyone has the right to kill him. How can such a person be worthy of being the chosen one of the human race? Why don't we kill him and take the heavenly Dao karmic luck from him, and give it to the true ruler of the human race? The Heavenly Venerate Patriarchs of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate, the Heavenly Curse sect, the 5 Elements Heavenly sect, the Darkness Heavenly sect, and the Annihilation Temple all stepped forward. Their eyes were extremely cold and filled with killing intent. With the Chinese as the leader and the 6 immortal sacred grounds, a total of 7 heavenly venerates chose to attack and stood beside the Samsara temple. Together with Heavenly Venerate Yufeng and Heavenly Venerate Withering Glory, there were 9 heavenly venerates. The auras of the 9 heavenly venerates surged violently as their killing intent soared and faintly surrounded Ling Xiao and Shuiwei. Do you really think the War God Temple is a pushover? 200 years ago, you conspired to take Ling Xiao's heavenly Dao karmic luck and the wordless heavenly book, and framed him as a spy of the devil race. Now you still want to do this? Can't you think of something new? I'd like to see who dares to behave atrociously today. Lu Bai sneered. A blazing fighting spirit rose from his body, and a dazzling light bloomed. It was as if a resplendent sun had risen, which made his aura become incomparably powerful. Even though he was facing 9 heavenly venerates, he still did not show the slightest fear. Lu Bai, it seems like we've been too kind all these years. It was a mistake not to exterminate the War God Temple. Your War God Temple has been hiding evil and colluding with the scum of the human race like Ling Xiao. I think there's no need for it to exist anymore. Today we'll wipe out the War God Temple. Heavenly Venerate Radiant Peak sneered. Lu Bai, you've just broken through to the Heavenly Venerate realm. You haven't even stabilized your cultivation, yet you still dare to stand out? You don't know what's good for you. Today, you and Ling Xiao will be buried together. The heavenly venerate ancestor of the 9 imperial obelisk also said coldly. The situation had changed too quickly. Everyone's expression changed drastically. Was there going to be a great battle between heavenly venerates in the Samsara temple today? No one had expected that so many things would happen during Qin Mieshing and Shuiwei's wedding. The immortal sacred lands were determined to destroy Ling Xiao. Even if Ling Xiao had the battle strength of a heavenly venerate, together with Shuiwei and Lu Bai, there were only 3 heavenly venerates. How could they defeat 9 heavenly venerates? One had to know that this was the Samsara temple, which was within the range of the myriad Samsara array. Once the Samsara temple activated the Supreme Emperor array, the Emperor's aura would erupt and even a heavenly venerate would die. Is the chosen one going to die in the Samsara temple today? Everyone looked at Ling Xiao sympathetically. No matter what the immortal sacred lands said, Ling Xiao's deeds had won the hearts of countless young people in the realm of the gods. This was especially so when Ling Xiao risked everything to come to the Samsara temple, to take back his beloved Shuiwei. Many female experts were moved. How could such an affectionate, righteous and talented heaven's chosen one be a spy of the demon race? However, no one dared to say anything. At most, they looked at Ling Xiao sympathetically and were filled with worry. They hoped that Ling Xiao could create a miracle and escape from the Samsara temple with Shuiwei. Chapter 2802. With just you guys? A bunch of sanctimonious hypocrites who want to scheme for Ling Xiao's heavenly Tao providence. And the wordless heavenly book actually pretended to be so righteous. Disgusting. Less nonsense. If you guys want to fight, then let's fight. Lu Bai's body bloomed with blazing light. His white robe fluttered, and his style was peerless. He was like an immortal descending to the world, emitting an ethereal and otherworldly aura. His eyes were incomparably bright, and a strong fighting spirit emerged. The blazing light around him rose, making his entire body emit an immortal fluctuation. Facing 9 great heavenly venerable powerhouses, Lu Bai did not have the slightest fear. His eyes were as bright as the sun, and his fighting spirit was strong to the extreme. Lord War God, no need to talk so much nonsense with them. Their shamelessness, I've already seen it 200 years ago. These immortal sacred grounds of the human race have long changed. In their eyes, there is no longer the righteousness of the human race, no black and white, only interests. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile, his expression incomparably calm. Ling Xiao, you're at death's door, and you still dare to frame us? If it weren't for our immortal sacred grounds and the demon race fighting to the death, the divine world would have long fallen. A despicable and shameless person like you still dares to bewitch people here? Heavenly Venerable Yufeng said with a cold smile. Whatever you say. I also don't intend to talk nonsense with you guys. Don't you guys want to kill me? Very well. Then come at me together. Today, I'll first collect some interest and kill you old things, then visit each of you one by one to denounce you. There are too many immortal sacred grounds in the divine world. Ling Xiao said indifferently, and his eyes revealed a trace of cold killing intent. He was sneering in his heart. Sure enough, they were still as shameless as 200 years ago. Even though he had returned and possessed incomparably powerful combat strength, these people still did not think of letting him go. They were still plotting for the heavenly Tao providence on him, and treated him as a mortal enemy. This was good too. This way Ling Xiao also had a reason to kill. Young master, these people deserve to die. Shuiwei's eyes also revealed a trace of blood-red killing intent. The scene from 200 years ago was still vivid in her mind. Shuiwei recalled the coercion of those immortal sacred grounds back then. Those sanctimonious and shameless people did not care that Ling Xiao was the chosen one of the human race, and insisted on killing Ling Xiao. 200 years have passed, they were still shameless people, and there was not the slightest change. Even with Shuiwei's indifferent and aloof disposition, killing intent couldn't help but arise in her heart at this moment. And she wanted to kill all these bastards before her. Immortal. Everyone, let's kill him. Emperor Yufeng's eyes turned cold. In an instant, the killing intent around his body boiled as he pounced towards Ling Xiao. Kill. 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 The eyes of many celestial masters were cold, and they exuded a vast and unparalleled divine path might. They were like celestial masters, suppressing and sweeping in all directions. They contained a mighty power that could destroy everything. Lose lords to suppress them to be together too and fight. Ling Xiao, I'd like to see if you can survive this time. Qin Miexing's eyes were also full of killing intent. Vast light surged around him, containing the aura of samsara. Instantly, the void around him trembled violently. In his palm, there seemed to be a wisp of extreme emperor power blooming in the void. In an instant, the reincarnation mountain trembled violently, and runes and divine chains of order rose from all directions. The samsara power surged violently, and in the chaotic light, mysterious worlds appeared one after another. They intertwined endlessly, creating and destroying one another. Qin Miexing had activated the myriad samsara formation. Rumble. The terrifying power of the formation exploded. It was to protect the samsara temple from being affected by the battle, and also to kill Ling Xiao. Otherwise, a battle between heavenly venerables would be enough to turn the samsara temple into ruins. The Thousand Tribulations reincarnation formation formed a vast barrier that contained a terrifying world-destroying force. It enveloped Ling Xiao, Xuewei, and Lu Bai. The 9 heavenly venerables joined forces to suppress Ling Xiao and Lu Bai. The terrifying power seemed to be able to destroy everything. Kill. A cold glint flashed in Xuewei's eyes. The black ancient sword in her hand instantly blossomed with unparalleled multicolored light. The power of annihilation surged violently as it charged towards heavenly venerable Yufeng. Ancient destroyer sword? The ancestor has given you the ancient destroyer sword? Damn it! Heavenly venerate Yufeng's face changed, and his eyes were filled with jealousy and anger. The ancient destroyer sword was a damaged extreme Dao Emperor weapon. It was said that the ancient destroyer sword was once the reincarnation emperor's sword. It was unparalleled in the world, and its power was unparalleled. However, it was broken in the primordial war, and only the power of a quasi-emperor weapon was left. However, the ancient destroyer sword was extraordinary, and it was second only to the emperor weapon in the Samsara temple. Heavenly venerate Yufeng had coveted the ancient destroyer sword for a long time, but he did not expect the ancestor to give it to Xuewei. Heavenly venerate Yufeng could feel the terrifying power of destruction surging from the ancient destroyer sword, and he felt a chill run down his spine. He did not dare to be careless, and he instantly activated all his cultivation to attack Xuewei. Rumble. On the other hand, Lu Bai attacked the heavenly venerate from the 9 imperial gates. The War God Temple and the 9 imperial gates were mortal enemies. When the two of them met, it was as though they were enemies. Their eyes turned red, and incomparably powerful battle fluctuations erupted. The heavenly venerate ancestor from the 9 imperial gates had been a heavenly venerate for millions of years, and he was from the same era as heavenly venerate Yufeng. On the other hand, Lu Bai had just broken through to the heavenly venerate realm. However, Lu Bai actually gained the upper hand as soon as the two of them exchanged blows. Lu Bai's body emitted an immortal light, and his battle intent soared to the sky. He actually suppressed the heavenly venerate ancestor from the 9 imperial gates. However, it was not that easy to defeat the heavenly venerate ancestor from the 9 imperial gates. As a result, Ling Xiao was completely exposed to the other 7 heavenly venerate experts. Kill him! Heavenly venerate withered glory shouted coldly, and his body contained the power of life and death. One side was full of vitality, while the other side was pure death qi. In an instant, like a yin-yang taiji diagram, it turned into a huge palm print and pressed down on Ling Xiao. Withering glory, life and death palm. This was a supreme treasure technique created by heavenly venerate withered glory. It contained the great Tao of life and death, and its power was unparalleled. With just the two of you. Ling Xiao smiled faintly, and a cold glint flashed in his eyes. Although he had already displayed shocking combat strength, he had not actually used his full strength. Otherwise, no matter how powerful heavenly venerate Yufeng was, he would not be able to withstand 3 moves from Ling Xiao. Chapter 2803. Ling Xiao wanted to see who would jump out at him. However, he did not expect that the Supreme Elders and Samsara Master of the Samsara Temple would not show up. Instead, it was the 9 imperial gates and other immortal sacred grounds who could not wait any longer. In that case, he would announce Ling Xiao's return with the blood of a celestial master. Boom. Blazing purple gas rose around Ling Xiao. He took a step forward and instantly traversed the void. Terrifying waves of saint light surged around him as he threw a punch at Withering Glory, Heavenly Master. Ling Xiao's punch was like an iceberg that split the waves and pierced through the 9 heavens. It contained an unstoppable power, and exploded with a loud bang. Crack. The power of the Withering Glory destruction palm was unparalleled, but Ling Xiao chose to meet it head-on. His unparalleled fist will burst forth, shattering the Taoist rhyme of life and death destruction, and shattering the palm print. Ling Xiao was like a supreme emperor who had descended from the 9 heavens. His fist was unparalleled and no one could stop his unparalleled fist principle. Not even Withering Glory Heavenly Master. What? Withering Glory Heavenly Master's expression changed drastically. He felt that Ling Xiao was 10 times or even 100 times stronger than before. He felt a fatal threat. Ling Xiao, don't be so arrogant. At that moment, the other 6 celestial masters attacked at the same time. Their eyes were cold, and their bodies were filled with the strongest killing intent. The moment they attacked, they used their killing moves. They actually used Supreme Emperor techniques at the same time. Many immortal sacred grounds had complete Supreme Inheritance and Supreme Emperor skills. Naturally, these celestial masters had also cultivated their Emperor skills. Moreover, their attainments were profound and almost all of them had reached the profound realm. 6 mighty divine rainbows came across the sky. They contain the mysterious concepts of nirvana, light and darkness, curse, 5 elements, and space-time. They wanted to kill Ling Xiao completely. However, Ling Xiao did not even look at them. His fist was extremely overbearing and it followed him like a shadow. It pierced through the layers of the void and landed directly on Withering Glory Heavenly Master's chest. Crack! The Withered Glory Heavenly Lord's body shook violently and a mysterious aura of withered glory emanated from him. With Ling Xiao's fist as the center, spiderweb-like cracks appeared on the Withered Glory Heavenly Lord's body and blazing light gushed out from them. In the end, Heavenly Lord Withering Glory actually exploded. Bloody mist swirled in the void, revealing the Withered Glory Heavenly Lord's nascent spirit. It was frantically gathering the surrounding bloody mist, wriggling in the void like a ball of flesh, trying to reform a body. You die first, Ling Xiao said nonchalantly. In an instant, a blazing heaven-devouring fire shot out from his eyes. It turned into a golden flame lotus in the void and enveloped Withered Glory Heavenly Master's head. Rumble! Endless flames burned fiercely and the flesh and blood in the void instantly turned into nothingness. Withered Glory Heavenly Venerate's primordial spirit had no way of escaping the range of the sky-devouring flames. It struggled violently and let out an incomparably shrill cry. Ah, save me! I don't want to die. Withered Glory Heavenly Master's soul almost left his body. His eyes were filled with intense fear. He had cultivated for so many years to reach the Heavenly Venerate realm, and possessed the supreme power to dominate all living beings. How could he bear to die like this? The heaven-devouring flames contained the power of the origin of flames. Withered Glory Heavenly Master could not escape from being burned by the heaven-devouring flames. He could feel his life essence rapidly depleting, and his primordial spirit almost dispersing. Rumble! At that moment, the 6 Heavenly Venerate experts arrived at the same time. The 6 terrifying rainbows contained the power of the Emperor's aura. It was extremely terrifying and directly blasted Ling Xiao's body. Ling Xiao did not resist at all. He chose to use his physical body to withstand the attacks of the 6 Heavenly Venerate experts. You're courting death. Die. The eyes of the 6 Heavenly Venerate experts were filled with cold killing intent. The 6 of them had unleashed their most powerful Emperor's techniques. Under their joint attack, even a Heavenly Venerate would be blasted to pieces. Ling Xiao was courting death and dared to use his physical body to withstand their attacks. In their opinion, even if Ling Xiao did not die, he would be severely injured. Boom! The void distorted violently. Even with the support of the myriad tribulations reincarnation array, the void was about to be destroyed. However, in the next moment, the smiles on the faces of the 6 heavenly venerate experts froze. Ling Xiao's body emitted a resplendent purple glow. Chaotic light rose, forming an incomparably sparkling and translucent barrier around Ling Xiao. The strongest attacks of the 6 heavenly venerates blasted Ling Xiao's body, causing him to tremble. The layer of crystal barrier trembled violently, as if it was about to shatter at any time. However, it did not shatter in the end and Ling Xiao was not affected at all. The first one. Ling Xiao glanced at the 6 heavenly venerates and said, "Rumble." As Ling Xiao's voice fell, the heaven-devouring flames instantly incinerated the real spirit in Withered Glory Heavenly Master's primordial spirit. Withered Glory Heavenly Master's soul was destroyed and completely erased. The majestic power of Withered Glory Heavenly Master's primordial spirit was refined by the heaven-devouring flames and quickly integrated into Ling Xiao's sea of consciousness. Withered Glory Heavenly Master was dead. How is this possible? The faces of the 6 heavenly venerates turned ghastly pale in an instant. Their eyes were filled with horror. The crowd was also stunned. What did they just see? 7 heavenly venerate experts besieged Ling Xiao. Not only were they unable to do anything to Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao killed Withered Glory Heavenly Master first. That was a heavenly venerate expert, a big shot at the pinnacle of the saint path. He was just one step away from reaching the Supreme God realm. However, he died in Ling Xiao's hands just like that. Withered Glory Heavenly Master has fallen. Ling Xiao is actually so powerful? The crowd's voice was trembling. They felt their souls throbbing as they were completely frightened by Ling Xiao. Withered Glory Heavenly Master is only the first one. Soon, all of you will join him. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Rumble. Purple energy rose around his body, and a vast amount of chaotic light gushed out. His black hair fluttered in the wind as he strode forward. The surrounding heaven and earth shook as if a celestial emperor was patrolling. He emitted a vast and invincible aura. When the 6 heavenly venerates saw Ling Xiao's smile, their hearts could not help but tremble. How could Ling Xiao be so powerful? They could see that Ling Xiao's current cultivation was in the heavenly venerate realm, and he had just broken through. However, he was able to kill Withered Glory Heavenly Master directly. What was even more unbelievable was that the 6 heavenly venerates all-out attack and the supreme power of the Supreme God technique were unable to break through Ling Xiao's physical defense. How could they fight? Apex. Chapter 2804. Ling Xiao's body was shrouded in purple qi and dazzling runes. Divine chains of order intertwined and formed the mysterious figure of a primal chaos ancestor dragon. It coiled around him, making him look even more mysterious and majestic. After refining the Great Desolate's heart, Ling Xiao's body had fused with the Great Desolate origin, causing his primordial immortal body to completely revert from Hotian to Xiantian, reaching a state of perfection. The primordial immortal body contained the mysterious power of the primordial chaos. When fully activated, it not only possessed the supreme power to shatter everything, it was also immortal and indestructible. Therefore, even if the 6 celestial masters joined forces, they could not break through the defense of the primordial immortal body. Ling Xiao did not use his full strength earlier. He was only using Qin Miexing and Yufeng Celestial Master as whetstones to practice his epic fist. He also wanted to see what the people from the immortal sacred grounds would choose. Now that the fish had taken the bait, Ling Xiao naturally did not hold back, and began to attack with all his might. Withered Glory Celestial Master's death shocked everyone. Heaven and earth trembled as the great Tao laws intertwined. Blood rained down from the void. Withered Glory Celestial Master had turned into Tao and was completely erased from the world by Ling Xiao, but it still caused a terrifying vision of heaven and earth. Kill! Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as he leaped into the air, leaving behind dazzling afterimages. His unparalleled fist struck toward a Celestial Master of the Heavenly Curse sect. The Celestial Master of the Heavenly Curse sect's expression changed, and his eyes revealed a look of panic. However, he could not avoid Ling Xiao's ferocious fist. He gritted his teeth and bit the tip of his tongue, spitting out a mouthful of blood. Buzz. That was his heart's blood. It twisted in the void, forming extremely strange runes. They seemed to come alive and flew toward Ling Xiao in an instant. Divine Destruction Curse Kill. The Celestial Master of the Heavenly Curse sect roared. More than half of the blood in his body disappeared in an instant. His entire body shriveled up, his aura weakened, and blood flowed out of his 7 orifices. On the other hand, Ling Xiao sensed a dangerous aura. In an instant, purple light bloomed around his body, and immortal and indestructible waves spread out. The primordial immortal body was the leakless real body, and it could defend against everything. At the same time, Ling Xiao's fist was burning with devouring fire, causing the surrounding space to shatter. Under the incineration of the heaven-devouring fire, the strange runes shattered one after another. Moreover, most of the runes were destroyed the moment they came into contact with Ling Xiao's body. There was a flash of light in Ling Xiao's eyes. He discovered that an extremely strange inscription had actually flowed into his body through his palm. It entered his sea of consciousness in a flash and made its way towards his soul. The Great Divine Destruction Curse was said to be an incomparably ancient curse technique of the Heavenly Curse sect. It was passed down from the Heavenly Curse Great Emperor in ancient times, and its power was incomparably terrifying. The Heavenly Curse sect's Heavenly Venerate ancestor was extremely fearful of Ling Xiao. Therefore, he risked suffering a huge backlash and directly used the Great Divine Destruction Curse. Ling Xiao's soul trembled slightly, and strange runes appeared around him. Like a spider's web, they wrapped around his soul. Moreover, traces of destructive aura surged, wanting to completely shatter Ling Xiao's soul. From the outside, Ling Xiao seemed to have stopped in the void, and his expression was slightly dazed. He has been struck by my Great Divine Destruction Curse. Kill him. The Heavenly Curse sect's Heavenly Venerate ancestor did not care about his injuries. His eyes were filled with excitement as he hurriedly shouted. Rumble. Murderous intent flashed across the eyes of the other 5 Heavenly Venerates. They took out extremely powerful weapons in their palms, and instantly swept across the void. They contained traces of mysterious Emperor aura as they slashed towards Ling Xiao. Quasi-Emperor weapons. As the supreme elders of the immortal sacred grounds, although they did not bring their own Emperor weapons with them, they had all refined their own natal treasures. Quasi-Emperor weapons were extremely powerful, and could pose a fatal threat to Heavenly Venerate experts. The 6 Heavenly Venerates all unleashed their most powerful attacks. They knew that Ling Xiao's physical body was extremely strong, so they did not hold back at all. They all used their most powerful forbidden skills and offensive treasures in an attempt to kill Ling Xiao. Freeze! Ling Xiao suddenly spat out a single word. His eyes were extremely clear, and there was no longer a trace of daze in them. A vast and ethereal power surged out from Ling Xiao's body. It was as if it had transcended the heavens and earth. It was like a mysterious river of time that slowly flowed through the heavens and the earth. It was eternal and immortal. Around Ling Xiao's body, the mysterious river of time actually appeared, forming an incomparably mysterious domain. Time-stop domain. The 6 celestial venerables seemed to have been fixed in the void, maintaining their attacking postures. There were even terrifying great path laws intertwining around them. Their thoughts seemed to have been frozen, and only a hint of fear involuntarily appeared in their eyes. Whoosh! Ling Xiao pointed his finger in the air. The light from his finger was extremely sharp, as if the river of time had merged into his finger. It seemed to be able to pierce through time and space and destroy everything. It was eternal and immortal. Age-extinguishing finger. Ling Xiao did not hesitate at all. After using the Time Sutra to create the time-stop domain, and freezing the 6 heavenly venerables, he directly used the time-extinguishing finger. Poof! Poof! 2 streaks of blood-red light bloomed in the void. Ling Xiao's finger light first pierced through the Heavenly Curse sect's Heavenly Venerate Old Ancestor, and then landed between the eyebrows of the Nirvana Shrine's Heavenly Venerate Old Ancestor. The 2 primordial spirits were instantly shattered. The 2 Heavenly Venerates' true spirits were completely annihilated. All that was left were 2 empty corpses. Ling Xiao waved his sleeves and immediately kept the corpses of the 2 heavenly venerates. Rumble. Although the time-stop domain was heaven-defying, the strength of the 6 heavenly venerates was also extremely terrifying. Ling Xiao had only frozen them for a breath's time. However, in a breath's time, Ling Xiao had already killed 2 heavenly venerates. Time Sutra. Damn it, Ling Xiao. This is the Time Sutra of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate. The Heavenly Venerate Old Ancestor of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate had a look of shock and anger. There was also a trace of deep fear in his eyes. He instantly recognized that Ling Xiao cultivated the Time Sutra, the inheritance that the Spacetime Heavenly Gate had been searching for a long time. Now, not only had Ling Xiao obtained it, but he had also cultivated it to such a terrifying level. He had frozen the 6 heavenly venerates and even killed 2 of them. The Heavenly Venerate Old Ancestor of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate was filled with greed. This was the Time Sutra, the supreme inheritance left behind by the flowing Time Emperor. 3rd Sect Master. Chapter 2805. The Spacetime Heavenly Gate claimed to be the orthodoxy of the flowing Time Emperor and the Void Emperor. However, they only had the Void Scripture from the Void Emperor and the incomplete chronological scripture. Otherwise, if the Spacetime Heavenly Gate had obtained the chronological scripture, they would be as powerful as the Chaotic Heavenly Sect, the Destiny Shrine, the Myriad Buddha Temple, and the Samsara Temple. 4 more to go. Ling Xiao ignored the Heavenly Venerate Patriarch of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate. His gaze swept across the 4 heavenly venerates as a murderous aura rose around him. Finally, his gaze landed on Heavenly Venerate Radiant Peak. The Chinese could be said to be the mastermind behind Ling Xiao's plot. Under the leadership of the Chinese, many immortal sacred grounds had besieged Ling Xiao 200 years ago. Later on, they had targeted the War God Temple and the Supreme Tao Palace. Therefore, Ling Xiao was determined to destroy the Chinese. Even if the Chinese had the bloodline of the Tiandu Emperor, Ling Xiao would not let them off. Despicable. Heavenly Venerate Radiant Peak's heart skipped a beat when he met Ling Xiao's gaze. His expression was extremely ugly as he cursed. Despicable? Who can be more despicable than the Chinese? The destruction of the Chinese will begin with you. Ling Xiao sneered as a terrifying killing intent surged on his face. You? Do you think you can stop me if I want to leave? Radiant Peak snorted coldly. However, his tone was obviously weaker. At this moment, he actually wanted to retreat as the battle intent around him slowly dissipated. Ling Xiao was too terrifying. Heavenly Venerate Withered Glory, the Heavenly Venerate of the Heavenly Curse Sect, and the Heavenly Venerate of the Nirvana Temple had all died in Ling Xiao's hands. How long had it been? Everyone in the Samsara Temple was dumbfounded by the scene before them. The Heavenly Venerate of the Heavenly Curse Sect and the Heavenly Venerate of the Nirvana Temple are also dead. Everyone's eyes were filled with shock as they trembled all over. Ling Xiao's strength was beyond their imagination. The 2 saints from the Heavenly Curse Sect and the Nirvana Shrine were scared out of their wits. They were no longer as arrogant as before. Their faces were pale as they hid in the Samsara Heavenly Palace, afraid that Ling Xiao would notice them. Damn it! He actually killed 3 celestial venerables? How could he be so strong? Could it be because he is the chosen one? Qin Miexing was also extremely shocked. His eyes were filled with disbelief. Ling Xiao, I will definitely kill you. When father makes his move, it will be the time of your death. So what if he was the chosen one? After my father kills you, I will fuse with your heavenly Tao providence and become the chosen one of the human race. At that time, Shuiwei will still be my woman. This bitch, I will definitely let her know my power. Qin Miexing's face was distorted. Flames of jealousy were surging in his eyes. He was trembling all over. Seeing Ling Xiao's terrifying strength, he couldn't help but feel fear in his heart. However, when he thought of his father and the omnipotent Samsara Master, he calmed down a little. He even began to covet the heavenly fate on Ling Xiao. Junior Martial Uncle has also broken through to the heavenly venerable realm? Such terrifying battle prowess, as expected of the chosen one. Lu Bai's eyes were also filled with amazement. Ling Xiao had forced the heavenly venerable ancestor of the 9 imperial obelisk to retreat with one punch. The heavenly venerable ancestor of the 9 imperial obelisk had an ugly expression. He was actually suppressed by Lu Bai. Being suppressed by such a junior made him both shocked and angry. At the same time, Ling Xiao had killed 3 celestial venerables in a row, which set off a storm in his heart. He could vaguely feel that the Chosen One's power had been established. Perhaps even the various immortal sacred grounds could no longer keep him in check. Kill. If you have the ability, kill all 6 celestial venerables. When the sect master arrives, it will be the time of your death. Although heavenly venerable Yufeng was also extremely shocked, he was also filled with confidence in the Samsara master. After all, the 6 celestial venerables were the ancestors of the other immortal sacred grounds. If they died at Ling Xiao's hands, it would only make the 6 immortal sacred grounds hate Ling Xiao even more. Young master is always the most powerful. I can't be a burden to him. Shuiwei also noticed the scene of Ling Xiao killing 3 celestial venerables in a row. Her eyes were filled with admiration. Swoosh! Blazing sword qi surged around her body, containing the power of reincarnation, life and death. It made her become extremely fierce. The black ancient sword in her hand released unparalleled divine power, surging like a vast ocean. Her combat strength skyrocketed in an instant, causing heavenly venerable Yufeng's expression to change. His expression became somewhat solemn. He actually felt a fatal threat from Shuiwei's body. Heavenly venerable Yufeng did not dare to be careless. Boundless light surged around him as circles of reincarnation light bloomed. He began to attack Shuiwei with all his might. Kill. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent as he pounced on the remaining 4 celestial venerables. When the epic fist was released, endless chaotic light surged. It was as though heaven and earth had returned to chaos, evolving a new world, a new epoch, and a new civilization in the chaos. The epic fist was the fist of destruction, the fist of creation, and the fist of civilization. The 4 celestial venerables were instantly enveloped by the fist intent of the epical fist. It was as if they were in the chaos, and they were surrounded by surging killing intent. Fist imprints came crashing down on them from all directions. Heavenly capital fiend slash. Great 5 elements coalescing sword qi. Void slashing heavenly way. Myriad life light dark palm. The 4 celestial venerable ancestors of the Chinese, 5 elements celestial sect, space-time heavenly sect, and darkness heavenly sect were filled with madness. They roared angrily and unleashed their strongest treasure skills in an attempt to break Ling Xiao's epic fist. They could feel Ling Xiao's determination to kill them, which made them extremely terrified. Ling Xiao wanted to keep them here, so that he could complete the magnificent feat of killing 7 celestial venerables in one fell swoop. At this moment, they no longer wanted to kill Ling Xiao. They only wanted to break out of the range of the epic fist as soon as possible, and leave the Samsara temple. It was too terrifying. They were celestial venerables, the most powerful experts in the divine world. They stood at the pinnacle of the divine path, and were about to reach the Emperor realm. However, Ling Xiao had killed 3 of them consecutively as though they were vegetables. Ling Xiao's strength was enough to make them tremble in fear. Rumble. The epic fist seemed to have opened up a terrifying chaotic world as it collided with the 4 celestial venerables. Divine light flashed in all directions, and the void trembled violently. Scenes of great destruction appeared, and the final epic was opened. The 4 celestial venerable ancestors trembled violently and were sent flying. The 4th one. Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with killing intent as he disappeared into the void. In the next moment, he appeared behind celestial venerable radiant peak, and punched out with an invincible force. Gotcha. Celestial venerable radiant peak was unable to withstand Ling Xiao's punch. His body trembled violently as he felt a great destructive force enter his body. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he exploded in the void. Boom. Sky-devouring fire spread out from Ling Xiao's palm, and enveloped celestial venerable radiant peak's primordial spirit before it could escape. Celestial venerable radiant peak was dead. 3rd sect master. Chapter 2806. Run. The eyes of the three celestial masters from the Pentaphase celestial sect, the space-time heavenly gate, and the darkness celestial sect were filled with deep fear. They could not help but roar and flee in all directions. They were completely scared out of their wits by Ling Xiao. Holy Master Radiant Peak was so powerful that even after using the heavenly capital Divine Fiend Slash, he was still killed by Ling Xiao's punch. The four Holy Masters attacked together, but they could not do anything to Ling Xiao. In the blink of an eye, 4 of the 7 Holy Masters had died at Ling Xiao's hands. The 3 of them lost their will to fight and fear filled their eyes. If they continued to fight, they would be at risk of dying. Swoosh! 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 The 3 Celestial Masters leaped into the void in an attempt to escape from the Samsara Temple. You want to leave? You'd better stay here. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed with murderous intent. He punched at the Holy Master of the 5 Elements Celestial Sect. Purple lightning surrounded his fist, and it was extremely domineering. At the same time, dazzling light rose from his palm. The heavenly might was like a prisoned steel that spun across the sky. It was like an immemorial divine mountain that suppressed the remaining 2 celestial venerables. Ling Xiao did not intend to let any of them go. He was determined to make them all stay. Crack. The purple fist could be called the primordial fist. It was the ultimate fist technique that Ling Xiao had unleashed after his primordial immortal body was perfected. Ling Xiao had combined the ancestral dragon, true phoenix, white tiger, black tortoise, and Qilin origin secret skills. He had also studied many body refining techniques. With the primordial immortal body as the foundation, he had created the primordial fist. Although the primordial fist was not perfected, it was already able to unleash destructive power. Ling Xiao, get out of my way. The face of the celestial venerable, one of the 5 elements celestial sect, turned ghastly pale. His eyes were filled with rage as he roared furiously. His entire body was enveloped in blood-red light as flames rose. He burned the great path nomological laws and the power of his primordial spirit as he unleashed a terrifying attack towards Ling Xiao. He could feel the terror of the primordial fist. If he could not withstand Ling Xiao's blow, he would definitely die. Boom! Dazzling divine rainbows collided in the void. The primordial chaos fist contained eternal and immortal energy waves and emitted dazzling rays of light. It was as if a greater thousand world had been created and enveloped the celestial venerable ancestor of the 5 elements celestial sect. The heavenly venerate of the 5 elements celestial sect's most powerful attack had actually been destroyed without a sound. Rumble. Endless fist imprints surrounded the heavenly venerate patriarch of the 5 elements celestial sect like billions of stars. The heavenly venerate of the 5 elements celestial sect trembled violently. Despair filled his eyes as he exploded into a bloody mist. He had been blasted apart by Ling Xiao's punch. Primordial spirits of his primordial spirit. Primordial spirits, primordial spirits. Was that primordial spirit was pure primordial spirit, and primordial spirit, primordial immortal primordial spirit. The 5th Empyrean was dead. Boom. On the other side, the 2 heavenly venerate experts from the Spacetime Heavenly Gate and the Illuminati Heavenly Sect were suppressed by the Heaven's Might Prison Steel. They had to use all their cultivation to lift the Heaven's Might Prison Steel and escape. However, they did not expect the Holy Master of the 5 Elements Celestial Sect to die at Ling Xiao's hands. Both of them were scared out of their wits. They frantically tried to escape from the Samsara Temple. Celestial Emperor Prison Suppression Technique, suppress. Ling Xiao said coldly. Suddenly, the Heaven's Might emitted a dazzling light. It was as if a passage to hell had been opened. A dark and deathly aura emanated from it. Above the sky, it was as if hell had descended upon this world. Endless darkness and the divine light of death surged. Vaguely, an immortal great emperor appeared, blotting out the sky and suppressing all evil. Quick! The 2 holy masters' eyes were filled with madness. They even burned their blood essence and used the blood escape technique. They traveled thousands of miles in an instant. The Samsara Temple had been enveloped by the myriad Samsara array. The void was sealed, so they could not tear the void apart. They could only escape by flying. The two of them were about to go crazy. They did not care about anything else. They only wanted to escape from Ling Xiao's clutches as soon as possible. They did not dare to make an enemy of Ling Xiao anymore. It was too terrifying. This heaven's chosen son actually used 200 years to possess invincible battle prowess that could crush Empyreans. Could Ling Xiao really become the 10th emperor of the human race? Deep regret welled up in their hearts. They regretted making Ling Xiao their enemy. This battle had established Ling Xiao's reputation as an invincible being. After today, Ling Xiao would be the most dazzling existence in the entire God realm. He would make all the worlds tremble. Buzz. Just as the two celestial masters were about to make it out of the Samsara temple, the void in front of them shone brightly. Runes intertwined and formed a transparent bounded domain. It exuded a mysterious Samsara aura and blocked their way. In fact, there were even streaks of extremely sharp sword chi that were formed and locked onto them. What? The faces of the two celestial venerables instantly turned pale. They only remembered that the Samsara temple had been enveloped by the myriad Samsara array. Not only had it sealed off Ling Xiao's escape, but it had also sealed off their escape routes. In other words, they were trapped in the Supreme Emperor array. There was no way they could escape. Old fogies of the Samsara temple, I'll fuck you. The two heavenly sovereigns from the spacetime heavenly gate and the Glabrest heavenly sect cursed in anger. Despair appeared in their eyes. Rumble. At this moment, Ling Xiao descended with heavenly might. The celestial emperor's prison suppression art contained the power to shatter and seal everything. It was as if an ancient emperor had descended. The terrifying power of darkness and death enveloped the two celestial lords. Ling Xiao's face was cold. Killing intent surged around him. The heavenly emperor's prison suppression art formed a strange resonance with him. The extreme emperor's aura seemed to have been completely activated. The terrifying extreme emperor's aura surged and tore the two holy masters into pieces. At this point, the last two heavenly venerables had also died at Ling Xiao's hands. Ling Xiao stood in the air, his black hair fluttering in the wind. His white robe was whiter than snow, and he held the heaven's might in his hand. Extreme emperor's might spread out from his body, and chaotic light rose, making his aura sharp and majestic, exuding an invincible aura. The entire Samsara temple was silent. Everyone was completely stunned. Their eyes were dazed and fearful. It was as if they were in a dream. The void was filled with the stench of blood. Blood rained down from the sky, and various mysterious visions appeared. These were telling everyone that the scene in front of them was not a dream. It was real. Ling Xiao had killed 7 holy masters. P.S. Something cropped up last night, so I missed the first update. I'll make up for it today. There will be 3 more updates tonight. Chapter 2807. Ling Xiao killed 7 heavenly venerables. That's terrifying. Is this the chosen one? I have a feeling that the immortal sacred grounds that have a grudge with Ling Xiao are in trouble. With Ling Xiao's current combat strength, he's invincible unless an emperor appears. Everyone was discussing softly as they looked at Ling Xiao with reverence in their eyes. The result was simply too shocking. Heavenly venerables were known as heavenly venerables. They were at the peak of the saint path and were the strongest below the emperor realm. They controlled the great Tao of heaven and earth, and could unleash destructive power with a wave of their hand. Now Ling Xiao had killed 7 of them as if he was cutting vegetables. Oh my god, Ling Xiao is actually so perverted? Doesn't this mean that my revenge will be even further away from me in the future? This fellow wouldn't have broken through to the Imperial Lord realm, right? The white dragon horse widened its eyes, revealing a look of shock and suspicion. Ling Xiao had displayed his peerless strength and killed 7 heavenly venerables in a row. Even he did not expect it, and felt that it was unbelievable. Those heavenly venerables of the immortal sacred grounds were almost at the level of old ancestors. They were supreme experts who controlled the fate of the immortal sacred grounds. Losing any one of them was a great loss. Every one of them was unfathomable, and had cultivated powerful emperor techniques. Even so, they still died in Ling Xiao's hands. After today, Ling Xiao will shock the entire divine world, Peng Tiangang said with excitement. When he saw Ling Xiao killing 7 heavenly venerables in the void, he could feel his fighting spirit rising and his blood boiling. He could not help but want to fight alongside Ling Xiao. This was Ling Xiao, the young god of war of the War God Temple. He did not disappoint everyone. After this battle, who dares to say that they will destroy the War God Temple? Lu Bai's eyes flashed with unparalleled sharpness as he revealed a rare look of excitement. His battle intent soared as he threw out a punch. It was as bright as the sun, forcing the 9 Imperial Obelisk Heavenly Venerate to retreat. He killed 7 heavenly venerables. The Empyrean Exalt's eyes were filled with panic and disbelief. There was no longer a trace of arrogance in them. Ling Xiao slaughtering 7 great Empyrean powerhouses made him tremble with fear, feeling that things were not good. If this continued, wouldn't he also fall here? However, he was already at a disadvantage, and was suppressed by Lu Bai. Now that he was slightly distracted, Lu Bai immediately seized the opportunity. Rumble. Lu Bai's body emitted an immeasurable amount of light, and a vast fighting spirit soared into the sky. His aura suddenly increased by several times, and his white robe was peerless, illuminating the entire sky. A blazing beam of light shot out from his palm. It contained the power to pierce through everything as it shot toward the celestial venerate in the Imperial Obelisk. Mahakasayapa Infinity War God Art. Lu Bai said in a low voice. His eyes shone brightly. Crack. The Empyrean from the 9 Imperial Obelisk trembled. He didn't even have the chance to dodge. The beam of light instantly pierced through his body. Rumble. His body seemed to have completely turned into a source of light, and began to spurt out endless light. His eyes were filled with intense fear. He opened his mouth wanting to say something, but in the end he didn't say anything. Then his entire body exploded with a loud bang. The Empyrean from the 9 Imperial Obelisk turned into a dazzling rain of light, sprinkling down from the void. It looked dazzling, intertwined with mysterious great Tao laws. The Empyrean from the 9 Imperial Obelisk had died at the hands of Lu Bai. Everyone had yet to recover from the shock of seeing Ling Xiao. They didn't expect that the 8th Empyrean would also die. Now, only Empyrean Yufeng was left in the void. The saints and saintesses from the Chinese, Pentaphase Celestial Sect, Spacetime Heavenly Gate, and other immortal sacred grounds were scared silly. Their faces were pale, and their eyes were filled with fear. The 8 Empyreans, who possessed the strongest battle strength, were all dead now. Ling Xiao had actually created a miracle with his own strength. Under Ling Xiao's peerless radiance, these so-called heaven's prides and kings were incomparably overshadowed. Damn it! Empyrean Yufeng's face was incomparably ugly, and his eyes were filled with biting cold-killing intent. He realized that Ling Xiao's gaze had also landed on him. That gaze was flickering, containing a trace of cold-killing intent. Rumble. Empyrean Yufeng's body suddenly erupted with unparalleled saint aura. A huge palm print swept across the sky, smashing the sword qi that filled the sky into fine powder. Then, after colliding with Shuewei, he was directly sent flying back, landing on the reincarnation heavenly palace. Ling Xiao, you're dead meat. You actually dared to kill the Empyrean experts from the immortal sacred grounds? You're indeed a spy of the demon race. There will be no place for you in the entire divine realm. You're the mortal enemy of the human race. Empyrean Yufeng stared at Ling Xiao and said coldly, his eyes filled with blazing killing intent. Qin Mieshing stood beside Empyrean Yufeng. His face was incomparably ugly, and his eyes were filled with jealousy and anger. Why was Ling Xiao the chosen one? Why didn't Ling Xiao die 200 years ago? Why did he return 200 years later, and possess the combat strength to kill Empyreans? Why did Shuewei's heart belong to Ling Xiao? Why was she not even willing to look at him? Qin Mieshing's heart was filled with hatred for Ling Xiao. The jealousy and anger twisted his heart, and he could not wait to cut Ling Xiao into pieces. Ling Xiao, you killed my Samsara Temple's Empyrean withered glory and stole my wife. Today is the day you die. I'd like to see if you can escape from the myriad Samsara formation alive. Qin Mieshing's eyes were filled with hatred. Rumble. As the ancient seal in Qin Mieshing's palm emitted a strange light, the myriad Samsara formation became even more dangerous. A terrifying aura surged, and the Extreme Emperor's aura intertwined like divine chains of order. It contained a terrifying killing intent, and it locked Ling Xiao, Xue Wei, Lu Bai, the White Dragon Horse, and the Panga Celestial Constellation. This was the Supreme Emperor array of the Samsara Temple, the Myriad Samsara Formation. The Myriad Samsara Formation was a perfect Emperor array, and it contained a terrifying Extreme Emperor's aura. Once it was fully activated, it could even kill an Imperial Emperor. This was where Emperor Yufeng and Qin Miexing's confidence came from. At the same time, Qin Miexing had sent a message to his father, the Supreme Samsara Master of the Samsara Temple. As long as the Samsara Master attacked, Ling Xiao would definitely die, no matter how powerful he was. This is why I don't like you. If you want to kill me, just say so. Why do you have to pretend to be righteous and frame me as a spy of the demon tribe? How nauseating. However, do you really think that you can stop me with just an Emperor array? Ling Xiao sneered, and his eyes were full of disdain. Bookmark for easy reading. Chapter 2808. Rumble. Ling Xiao's body was surrounded by purple gas and emitted an immortal fluctuation. He could feel the terror of the myriad tribulations reincarnation array. The murderous intent was so strong that it could tear him into pieces at any time. However, Ling Xiao did not care. Even if he could not fight against the myriad tribulations reincarnation array, he had cultivated the secret skill of reincarnation and had the prison tablet. It would not be difficult for him to break out of the myriad tribulations reincarnation array. Ling Xiao had decided that he would kill Heavenly Master Yufeng and Qin Miexing after he broke out of the array. Young Master, I can break out of the myriad tribulations reincarnation array. However, Young Master, can Xue Wei beg you to spare the rest of the Samsara Temple and only kill Qin Miexing and Heavenly Master Yufeng? After all, Xue Wei is indebted to the Samsara Temple, and I do not wish for the Samsara Temple to be destroyed. Xue Wei suddenly said to Ling Xiao with a pleading look in her eyes. Xue Wei had originally wanted Ling Xiao to let Qin Miexing and Heavenly Venerable Yufeng off. After all, the Samsara Master had helped Ling Xiao 200 years ago. However, their words had completely disappointed Xue Wei. Moreover, Xue Wei knew that the Samsara Master had not helped her out of sincerity. He was after the Samsara origin in Xue Wei's body. He wanted Xue Wei to be Qin Miexing's cauldron and help him break through to the Heavenly Master realm or even higher. All right, I will listen to you. Ling Xiao patted Xue Wei's head affectionately and nodded. However, Qin Miexing's eyes were about to spit fire when he saw this. You are courting death. Today I will kill all of you. Qin Miexing said coldly. Rumble. The Myriad Tribulations Reincarnation Array was completely activated. Rings of mysterious reincarnation light bloomed. Chaotic mist and mysterious great Tao laws intertwined and transformed into the most terrifying murderous intent. It locked onto Ling Xiao and the rest. This was the power of the Extreme Emperor Aura, which contained the great Tao origin energy. Even an Empyrean powerhouse would not have any ability to resist in front of this source power, and would be reduced to ashes in an instant. Young Master, protect me while I cultivate. Everyone follow me. I will bring you out of the myriad tribulations reincarnation formation. Xue Wei's eyes revealed a trace of strange light as she slowly said, "Wong." A mysterious light of reincarnation shone from Xue Wei's body, causing the surrounding space to tremble slightly. It was translucent and dazzling. It enveloped Xue Wei, making her seem invulnerable and otherworldly. Mysterious phantoms appeared around Xue Wei. They looked very similar to Xue Wei, but their auras were completely different. They were like imprints from the endless worlds of reincarnation. They were densely packed and intertwined with each other, forming an extremely strange energy. The origin power of the great Tao of reincarnation. The area around Xue Wei seemed to have turned into a fairyland, peaceful and ethereal, protecting Ling Xiao, Lu Bai, the White Dragon Horse, and the Panga Heavenly Constellation. Rumble. After the Myriad Tribulations reincarnation formation was activated by Qin Miexing, it instantly released a terrifying attack. Sword radiance and saber radiance rose, Spear radiance and axe radiance swept across the void. All kinds of terrifying attacks, which contain the origin power of the Great Tao, fell on Ling Xiao, Shui Wei, and the others. That terrifying fluctuation caused the scalps of the surrounding people to turn numb. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fear. This kind of power could easily kill a king sage. Was this the power of the Supreme Emperor Array? However, everyone was incomparably shocked to discover that when that terrifying attack came into contact with the area 10 feet around Shui Wei, it actually silently melted like snow. Shui Wei shone with the mysterious light of reincarnation, protecting Ling Xiao and the others. The origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation? The Myriad Worlds Reincarnation? She really completed the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation in the past 200 years? How is this possible? Damn it! Qin Miesheng's body shook, and his eyes were filled with disbelief. 200 years ago, Shui Wei entered the Forbidden Land of the Samsara Temple. The Forbidden Land was extremely terrifying, and it was known as the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation. Once one entered it, he would be reincarnated into the Myriad Worlds, and only a trace of his true spirit would remain. It was said that as long as one passed through the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation, he would be able to comprehend the origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation. However, Qin Miesheng knew better than anyone else how terrifying the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation was. The reincarnation contained great terror and danger, and many geniuses of the Samsara Temple had fallen in it. Even Qin Miesheng could not bear it after going through the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation. For hundreds of millions of years in the Samsara Temple, it was said that there were very few people who could pass through the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation. Those who could pass through the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation eventually became the most powerful of the Samsara Temple, and left behind a rich and colorful legacy. Qin Miesheng did not expect Shui Wei to pass through the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation. The origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation Formation that erupted from Shui Wei's body was very clear. This meant that as long as Shui Wei completely integrated with the origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation Formation, she would be able to break through to the Imperial Emperor realm soon. This was a step to the top. It was precisely because Shui Wei had the origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation that she was immune to the attacks of the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation. Rumble. The sky was filled with dazzling divine light. Shui Wei and Ling Xiao stood side by side, their fingers clasped together as they walked forward step by step. Terrifying killing intent surged around them, but it could not do anything to them. The Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation was said to be able to kill everything, but it was easily neutralized by Shui Wei. In just a few breaths' time, Shui Wei had penetrated the boundary of the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation and walked out with Ling Xiao and the others. They appeared above the Samsara Heavenly Palace and stood in front of Qin Miesheng and Heavenly Master Yufeng. If you want to activate the Myriad Worlds Reincarnation Formation, the token alone is not enough. You must comprehend the origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation. It's a pity that neither you nor the Samsara Master have comprehended the origin of the Great Tao of Reincarnation Formation. Shui Wei said flatly with a calm expression. Qin Miesheng and Heavenly Master Yufeng's faces were extremely gloomy, especially Qin Miesheng. His eyes were filled with resentment. Shui Wei, are you really going to betray the Samsara Temple? If you break off with Ling Xiao now, you will still be my wife and the saintess of the Samsara Temple. Otherwise, when my father comes out of seclusion, no one will be able to save you. Qin Miesheng stared at Shui Wei and said coldly, Qin Miesheng, you should know that the only person I love is my young master. I will never betray the Samsara Temple. Shui Wei said calmly. Her face was slightly red, but her slender fingers held Ling Xiao's hand tightly, as if this was the only way she could draw hope and strength. Bookmark for easy reading. Chapter 2809. Ling Xiao's face was full of smiles and his eyes were as gentle as water. He looked at Shui Wei and smiled. There was no need for words. Shui Wei, you forced me to do this. Since you chose to be with Ling Xiao, you can all go to hell. Father, please come out of seclusion and kill them. Qin Mieshing said with fire in his eyes. He then bowed respectfully to the heavenly palace of Samsara with fanatical worship in his eyes. Master of Samsara, please come out of seclusion and kill Ling Xiao. Celestial Master Yufeng also bowed to the heavenly palace of Samsara. The Master of Samsara was their greatest support. Both Qin Mieshing and Celestial Master Yufeng believed that Ling Xiao would definitely die if the Master of Samsara came out of seclusion. The Master of Samsara has come out of seclusion? Could it be that he has broken through to the Imperial Emperor realm? Someone whispered, his eyes filled with shock. Everyone looked at the heavenly palace of Samsara and waited for a response. If the Master of Samsara had really broken through to the Imperial Emperor realm, it would be difficult for Ling Xiao and Shui Wei to leave the heavenly palace of Samsara. The Master of Samsara? Is he finally willing to come out? Such a secretive person. How disappointing. Ling Xiao's eyes were dazzling as they fell on the heavenly palace of Samsara. As soon as Qin Mieshing finished speaking, Ling Xiao felt an unfathomable aura as vast as the sea in the heavenly palace of Samsara. The Master of Samsara might have really taken that step. However, to everyone's surprise, there was no response from the heavenly palace of Samsara. There was dead silence. A strange look appeared in everyone's eyes. The Master of Samsara hadn't shown up? Could it be that the Master of Samsara was also afraid of Ling Xiao? Qin Mieshing and Heavenly Venerable Yufeng looked at each other. Their eyes were filled with disbelief as they began to panic. This was different from what they had imagined. Moreover, Qin Mieshing had a bad premonition. He found that the connection between him and his father had been severed, as if it had been cut off by something. Why hadn't the Master of Samsara come out? Looks like it's really disappointing. The Master of Samsara didn't even have the courage to show up. If that's the case, then there's no need for the two of you to continue living. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Then, a cold glint flashed in his eyes as he sent a palm down from the sky. Rumble. Endless purple lightning gushed out from his palm. His aura was terrifying to the extreme, containing the power of great destruction. It was like a purple world, instantly enveloping Heavenly Venerable Yufeng and Qin Mieshing. Ling Xiao, how dare you? Ling Xiao, if you dare to touch me, my father will make you beg for death. Empyrean Imperial Wind and Qin Mieshing's faces changed drastically, roaring angrily one after another. The two of them leaped into the air, intending to charge into the heavenly palace of Samsara. Boom! Ling Xiao's eyes were cold as an unparalleled fist print came crashing down. The Hongmeng fist contained the ultimate physical strength, which could break through illusions and suppress everything. Empyrean Imperial Wind and Qin Mieshing's bodies shook violently. They couldn't resist Ling Xiao's Hongmeng fist at all. Blood spurted out of their mouths as they were sent flying, crashing heavily on the door of the heavenly palace of Samsara. Don't worry, after you're dead, I'll send the Master of Samsara to meet you. Ling Xiao said coldly as he sent another punch down. Crack! Blazing purple clouds rose and chaotic light appeared in the sky. A mysterious scene, as if the world had been created, appeared, making Ling Xiao's fist print even more domineering and ferocious. Empyrean Imperial Wind and Qin Mieshing. One coveted his heavenly fate, while the other coveted Shui Wei's reincarnation origin. Both of them deserved to die. Moreover, Ling Xiao learned from the Taishangdao Palace that the Samsara Temple was secretly plotting against the Taishangdao Palace and the War God Hall, even though they appeared to be neutral on the surface. A few supreme elders of the War God Hall had died at the hands of Empyrean Imperial Wind, while a few female disciples of the Taishangdao Palace had been raped to death by Qin Mieshing. However, Ling Xiao's actions were secretive, and the War God Hall couldn't find any evidence, so they could only swallow their pride. Rumble. This punch contained the supreme divine power of the Hongmeng immortal body. It pierced through the chests of Empyrean Imperial Wind and Qin Mieshing, leaving behind a rain of blood in the void. The power of the Great Destruction surged into the bodies of Empyrean Imperial Wind and Qin Mieshing, instantly destroying their tree of Holy Way and destroying more than half of their primordial spirits. Ah! You crippled me? Ling Xiao, I'll fight you to the death. Qin Mieshing roared crazily, his eyes filled with hatred and despair. Ling Xiao's punch could have killed Empyrean Imperial Wind and Qin Mieshing, But he didn't. Instead, he destroyed their Holy Way foundation and crippled their cultivation. Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind's aura became extremely weak in an instant, and their cultivation dropped from the Saint King realm to the Divine Spirit realm. His cultivation base had been reduced to ashes. Empyrean Imperial Wind's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with fear and despair. He felt that as his life origin flowed away, he became extremely old. He was lethargic and filled with the aura of death, as if his life was running out and he was about to die. I didn't expect this. The great Samsara Master has become a coward, and is unwilling to come out even now? Fine, I won't kill Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind, and I won't hurt anyone from the Samsara Temple. This is my repayment for your help 200 years ago. As long as the Samsara Temple doesn't provoke me anymore, we'll be even. Ling Xiao didn't even look at Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind. His gaze fell on the Heavenly Palace, and he looked a little disappointed. Originally, Ling Xiao wanted to force the Samsara Master to come out, and use this opportunity to get rid of the Samsara Master once and for all. But for some unknown reason, the Master of Samsara did not show up. Ling Xiao lost interest and decided to spare Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind's lives in the end. This was his repayment for the Samsara Master's help 200 years ago. Moreover, Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind were already crippled, and they were no longer a threat to Ling Xiao. Shuiwei, let's go. Ling Xiao said slowly to Shuiwei. Okay. Shuiwei nodded and turned back to look at the Samsara Temple. Her eyes were filled with reluctance to part with it. But in the end, she still grabbed Ling Xiao's hand and left the Samsara Temple with him. Haha, how boring. I wanted to watch an exciting battle, and let Ling Xiao kill the Samsara Master. I didn't expect it to end like this. It's so lonely to be invincible. White Dragon Horse chuckled. The Samsara Master? He must be tied down by something and can't split himself. No matter what, it's a good thing to be able to leave the Samsara Temple unscathed. Let's go. Lu Bai looked at the Heavenly Palace with a strange light in his eyes and said slowly. If the Samsara Master sees Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind like this, I'm afraid he'll go crazy? Panga Tiangang said with a strange look in his eyes. Ling Xiao and the rest swaggered out of the Samsara Temple, and no one dared to stop them. Behind them, only Qin Miexing and Empyrean Imperial Wind's cries could be heard. Everyone's eyes were filled with respect as they watched Ling Xiao leave the Samsara Temple. At this moment, in the Heavenly Palace of the Samsara Temple, chaotic fog filled the air. Old bastard, why did you stop me? I must kill Ling Xiao and destroy the War God Temple. You can't stop me. This is the shame of the Samsara Temple, and only their blood and lives can wash away this shame. An icy cold voice filled with rage exploded in the chaotic space. It was like thunder, filled with monstrous killing intent. P.S. End of 4th update. Everyone, rest early. 3rd Sect Leader. Chapter 28:11. Rumble. The blazing light was dazzling. The origin of the Great Tao was like a divine chain of order. It intertwined into a dazzling net, and trapped a middle-aged man in a black robe. In the chaotic void, an old man with white hair and beard sat cross-legged. He had a youthful face and white hair. His face was hale and hearty. Rings of reincarnation light flickered in his eyes, revealing the vicissitudes of life and wisdom. The middle-aged man in a black robe was the ruler of the Samsara Temple, the master of Samsara, Qin Wuji. Qin Wuji had seen everything that had happened in the Samsara Temple. However, he could only watch as Ling Xiao killed Withered Glory Heavenly Master and crippled Qin Miexing and Heavenly Master Yufeng, because he was trapped in the Heavenly Palace by the Samsara Ancestor. The Samsara Ancestor was the strongest person in the Samsara Temple. When Qin Wuji was still a child, the Samsara Ancestor was already the Samsara Ancestor. No one knew how old the Samsara Ancestor was. Some even guessed that he was a living fossil from the 9 emperors of the human tribe. Qin Wuji had always been wary of the Samsara Ancestor. It was only when he took the last step and broke through to the Imperial Emperor realm that he stopped being afraid of the Samsara Ancestor. Shuiwei was the disciple of the Samsara Ancestor. Therefore, Shuewei had always had a superior position in the Samsara temple. In the past 200 years, the Samsara ancestor had been traveling the heavens and realms. Therefore, Qin Wuji dared to force Shuewei to marry Qin Miesheng. He knew that even if the Samsara ancestor returned, he would not be afraid of the Samsara ancestor. However, it seemed that he had underestimated the Samsara ancestor's strength. The Samsara ancestor had silently appeared in the heavenly palace and imprisoned Qin Wuji. He could only watch the outside world but could not interfere. Qin Wuji's eyes were filled with incomparable anger. His murderous intent towards Ling Xiao had also reached its peak. Qin Wuji, you saw it too. I did not make a move to help Ling Xiao, but Ling Xiao still performed the magnificent feat of slaughtering 8 great Empyreans in a row. After this battle, his name would probably resound throughout the entire God realm. This is the chosen one, the son of fate of an era. If you go against him, you will die and the Samsara temple will be doomed eternally. Reincarnation ancestor said indifferently with a calm look on his face. Famous throughout the God realm? Haha. Ancestor, in my opinion, Ling Xiao will die for sure after this battle. He has offended the Chinese, the 9 imperial obelisk, the Time Heavenly Gate, and the other immortal holy lands. Do you think these immortal holy lands will let him go? Ling Xiao is already the enemy of the entire world. Whether he is the chosen one or not, he will definitely die. Qin Wuji sneered and said. Qin Wuji, do you really think these immortal sacred grounds can kill Ling Xiao? Samsara Patriarch asked calmly. Why not? Old thing, you should know better than me that those below the Emperor realm are all ants. Even heavenly venerables are ants. If those 8 Empyreans were standing in front of me, I could also slap them to death. If all the immortal sacred grounds attack at the same time, it won't just be 8 Empyreans, but 8 emperors. What will he use to defend himself? Qin Wuji said coldly. If that's the case, are you sure you want to go against Ling Xiao? Samsara Patriarch sighed softly. That's right. How dare he make a scene at the Samsara temple on Shuewei and Miesheng's wedding day? How dare he humiliate us? He even killed Empyrean Withered Glory and crippled Empyrean Yufeng and Qin Miesheng. If we don't take revenge, the Samsara temple will become the laughingstock of the entire God realm. Qin Wuji's eyes were filled with rage and murderous intent. He was determined to kill Ling Xiao. Have you thought about it? What would it mean if Ling Xiao managed to survive after being surrounded by all of you again? Samsara Patriarch said slowly. Qin Wuji's entire body trembled. However, he still revealed a determined expression and said, Impossible. Not to mention that he's only at the Empyrean realm. Even if he broke through to the Imperial Monarch realm, he would still die under the joint attack of so many immortal holy lands. Qin Wuji, let me answer for you. If Ling Xiao doesn't die, you and the Samsara temple won't be able to bear the consequences. If that happens, the entire God realm will be in a bloodbath, and those so-called immortal sacred grounds will be wiped out. Samsara Patriarch said slowly. Impossible. So what if he's the chosen one? He's offended so many immortal sacred grounds, he won't survive this time. Qin Wuji's face was filled with determination. Qin Wuji, I can stop you for a while, but I can't stop you for life. How about this? I won't stop you from killing Ling Xiao, but you can't take anyone from the Samsara temple with you. You can only go alone. The Great Tribulation is coming, and the Samsara temple can't take it anymore. Samsara Patriarch said helplessly. All right. Old man, I promise I won't take anyone from the Samsara temple with me. I'll show you that you're wrong. I'm the only one who can lead the Samsara temple to greatness and glory. Qin Miesheng agreed without hesitation. His eyes were filled with dazzling light. In that case, you're on your own, Samsara Patriarch said and nodded. He waved his sleeve, and the divine chains of order that imprisoned Qin Miesheng disappeared. Qin Miesheng looked at Samsara Patriarch and left the heavenly palace without saying a word. Qin Wuji, do you really think I don't know that you're after Ling Xiao's heaven path fate? But don't you understand? If the chosen one is so easy to kill, would he still be the chosen one? Samsara Patriarch looked in the direction where Qin Miesheng disappeared and muttered to himself. Buzz. The resplendent light of samsara rose around him. Mist permeated the air as he silently vanished from the chaotic space. Ling Xiao left the samsara temple with Shui Wei. The entire samsara temple was as silent as cicadas in winter. No one dared to stop Ling Xiao. Everyone looked at Ling Xiao with awe and respect. Even the sage kings and the old monsters who had lived for countless years couldn't help but gasp in amazement. The news that Ling Xiao had wreaked havoc in the samsara temple, snatched fairy Shui Wei, killed 8 holy masters, and crippled Qin Mieshing and holy master Yufeng quickly spread throughout the divine world. It was as if the news of that battle had grown wings. In a very short period of time, it had spread throughout the entire god realm, causing everyone to boil with excitement and shock. Especially when many people heard the news for the first time. They didn't believe it, and thought that someone was deliberately spreading the rumor. However, as more and more detailed information came out, everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. Ling Xiao had really killed 8 holy masters. The divine world was in an uproar. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.